854-4788.
I'm Dick Hafner, WJR News, and now here's Kevin Dietz.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Good morning. It is Monday, November the 9th, and here is where we stand right now. Joe Biden is the president-elect. He currently has 290 unofficial electoral votes, 74 million unofficial individual votes. He is 72 days from being sworn in as president. He is calling for unity, saying we are not enemies, we are all Americans. We are not red or blue states, we are the United States. He will be putting together his transition team starting today, and COVID policy will be a main theme. Kamala Harris is the vice president-elect. She is the first woman vice president-elect and the first woman of color vice president-elect. She says anything is possible in America and is being called a role model who has shattered the glass ceiling. Donald Trump is your president. He has 214 unofficial electoral votes, 71 million unofficial individual votes. He is contesting the results and says he won this election, that he has the legal votes to remain president. He is filing new lawsuits in multiple states today. He says to stay in office, Donald Trump probably has to change the current outcome in at least 3 states through recounts or the courts. The key states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, North Carolina. Also, the Senate is still up for grabs with 2 runoffs in Georgia. If Democrats win both, they will have the majority. However, candidates like John James here in Michigan are being encouraged not to concede until after court challenges have been resolved, and many believe the Supreme Court will ultimately get involved. Recounts, lawsuits, that's going to dominate the debate for the next few days. Let's bring in the roundtable. Ann Thomas, Dick Hafner, Dana Clark. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
That was a mouthful.
You need a break. We did
that
a commercial
says
break.
it all. Good
Yeah.
rep.
What a weekend, huh? I suppose when you guys left Friday, the picture wasn't quite so clear, but it's still not exactly clear. But an awful lot happened over the weekend. Ann, what was your take on how things sort of played out over the weekend?
Well, it was fascinating to watch. My phone actually said that I'm using it twice as much as I normally do. I think my phone is worried about me.
Your screen time is way up.
Way up.
Dick, as a newsman, did it play out kind of how you thought it would over the weekend?
I didn't make any predictions. This is totally unpredictable. Who knows where this is going to go? So it was busy enough just to try to keep up with all the little and big developments.
Yeah, and of course...
expect whatever I expected? No, I didn't expect anything. I have no idea what to expect.
Dick just calls them like he sees them. he put it out there. Dana, it was a very emotional time for everybody. How did you take it in? Did you watch, or did you just get away from it all?
Of course. Like, I was glued to the TV screen all day, just waiting to see what when the results would possibly, or it would be called. First of all, I have to say, has anyone checked on Alaska? Because there's no updates from Alaska. Do they even have any electoral votes?
3.
Nobody has mentioned Alaska at all.
They're still counting. They have 3 electoral votes. Seems like they take time off for breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Is anybody still
I'll
there?
send a text message to Sarah Palin. I'll get back to you.
There you go. But it was a very emotional, as you mentioned, Kevin, weekend, just seeing, as you mentioned, Kamala Harris become the first woman of color. It just felt like, for some reason, once it was announced that he was the president-elect, it just felt like a sigh of relief. And everyone hit the streets. We had never seen that before. So that's what the experience was for me. And as I was talking to Annie over the weekend, I was thinking, okay, celebrate, but it's time to go home, because now you're out there super spreading. So it was different. It was a history making weekend, I think.
All right, a lot more to talk about here on the Paul W. Smith Show. We're going to take a quick break, check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Well, Kevin, we are looking at a pretty good start. Traffic First, also sponsored by Ryba's Fudge Shop. Make Ryba's your one-stop shop for all your business and corporate gifts. Appreciate, thank, and impress your clients, employees, colleagues, vendors, and loved ones with a gift box of Creamy Delicious Mackinac Island Fudge. Visit ryba.com to complete your shopping today. We do have an accident just reported along 96 eastbound after Beck Road. It is blocking the left shoulder. Earlier crash along the Jeffries. 96 westbound at Grand River is clear. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Detroit VA Healthcare System. Veterans, the Detroit VA Healthcare System reminds you to not let COVID-19 postpone your healthcare needs. The Detroit VA is ready to care for you in their medical facilities and through online video visits. To learn more, visit detroit.va.gov.
Few clouds around this morning, but record heat really the story. Very mild to start and a warm finish. 73 is too shy of the record, but may get there with lots of sunshine around in the afternoon. Some clouds tonight, mild 58. Gusty breeze tomorrow, slight chance of a shower, more record heat possible, 77. Wednesday, clouds, sunshine, much cooler, highs only in the low 50s, which is actually where we should be this time of year. From a Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
It's 5:45 a.m. Let's check in with Rush Limbaugh.
With the drive-by media in election analysis overdrive, Politico has just noticed another reason for Democrats to be unhappy. Now, so far, Democrats didn't take over the Senate as they believed they would. They did not expand their reach in the House. There was no blue wave, but there's more bad news for them. Politico reports that Democrats performed horribly in the state legislative races and that the state power deficit is going to impact American politics for at least the next 10 years. Politico warns this could ultimately mean more Republicans in both Washington and in state capitals across the fruited plain. Now, remember something, folks. Because of Barack Hussein Obama, the Democrats posted horrific losses in many state legislatures. The country was so disgusted after the first 2 years of Obama. Democrats lost over 700 seats, everything from dog catcher to the Senate. Republicans took over the majority of state legislatures, and ever since, the Democrats have been trying to get those back, and they've failed. And the predicted blue wave that never materialized totally demoralized them because they failed again. Now there's the census, and the Republicans are going to control most of the redistricted seats for the next 5 election cycles. And they ought to use that power to the fullest extent possible without apology, because elections do indeed have consequences.
Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3, today, right here on WJR.
You know what we haven't talked about yet, gang, is the horrible football weekend that we had.
Oh,
Wow,
beautiful.
what happened?
everybody
Well,
lost. Huh?
did something happen? The weather was nice. I went out for a walk. Did I miss something?
Right. It was beautiful. Beautiful weekend.
Michigan
Tell
State.
us, Annie, what happened?
Michigan State got killed. Michigan lost bad. The Lions lost bad.
But
Notre
at least
Dame
they
won an
didn't beat
amazing
Michigan
game.
last week.
Yeah, they got the state fans are like, we're good. We go 1-6 or whatever it is. We're okay this year.
Exactly.
Michigan is going to have to beat Ohio State to feel the same way, I think. Otherwise, there's going to be little joy in Ann Arbor.
And Lions did their normal thing they always do.
Yeah.
They lost.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you
I
didn't
thought
watch, you
Michigan
didn't
was
miss much.
supposed to be. I thought Michigan was going to be really way better this year. What's going on there?
The whole Big Ten is crazy. I mean, people, Indiana. Everyone said Indiana was going to be really good, and they beat up on Michigan State and Michigan, and they are good. So they're a little deceiving. The Iowa was impressive. I mean, they're just really impressive. Now Michigan's got to play Wisconsin next week, which is not going to be any easier. They're 1-2. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a crazy year, but they it looks like it's Ohio State and then all the rest of the teams.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens the rest. So I was just looking this up. Michigan State plays Indiana this weekend.
Yeah, they play Indiana this coming weekend. Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Who did Indiana beat somebody early that was a surprise? I can't remember who. But in any event,
I'll find out. For you.
Penn State, I think.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And then Penn State, I think, was 0-3, 0-4. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah.
So Michigan and Michigan State both have a tough weekend in front of them with Indiana.
And Dana, Kevin and I were having a discussion before we went on the air that if you put out Christmas lights, now's the time to do it.
It's true.
For sure.
True. Right. Wow.
So Kevin is being sent out today.
He's being sent out. He's being commissioned.
I'm
Wow.
not going out till someone.
That's true.
So someone has to. Yeah, Penn State's 0-3. Thanks, Ron.
That's true.
Yeah, I only put the lights up now if somebody is home to watch. If I fall off the
Keep
roof,
an eye
they
out.
can call 911.
Exactly.
I'm no longer.
You have
I'm
to
no
be
longer
very
capable.
careful.
No longer capable of.
I'm
taking-
impressed though that you're doing the roof lights. I mean, that's a thing.
Oh.
That takes,
You're still doing roof lights?
I tried to opt out a couple of years ago as it being too dangerous for someone of my age, and I think it is.
Consensus was no.
Everyone said no. Get up on that roof.
No, get up.
Pay your life insurance and get up on that roof.
wait, do you clip? How do you put them on the roof? Do you clip them on?
They've made really easy
Okay.
clips now. It's really much simpler than it used to be, I think, or at least the way I do it. Which is no, we're not winning any awards over here.
You're hearing the Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760 WJR. Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
All right, welcome back. The round table is here. We have Dana Clark, Dick Hafner, and Ann Thomas. Guys, you see the sad news on Alex Trebek?
Yes.
That was.
Yes.
That was. I guess people, you kind of know it's coming, but you hate to see it happen.
I thought he was doing pretty well.
Too. I was kind of
At
surprised.
last heard. But that's the thing with an illness. It can come back stronger. But how old was he, Kevin?
80 years old. 80 years old.
Seemed like a great, upstanding guy. And the best host ever of that Jeopardy. So who could they possibly find?
Our one of the producers at WJR, Mark Parsons, put a post up. He said, "I've never known a life where Alex Trebek wasn't on doing Jeopardy." I mean, he was on the air for so long. Some people have never known anything different, and what a tradition that's been for so many families to just flip on Jeopardy after dinner and have half an hour of family time. Watching this game play out.
And we learned so much by watching Jeopardy.
And
That's true.
And then in recent years they've had some amazing contestants who went on to win 70 games, 100 games, whatever it was. I remember that one Jennings, I think his name is Ken Jennings.
Ken Jennings.
Just phenomenal. Just went on. People would tape record it if they were going to miss it and go back and watch it. And then every so often, like there'd be a breaking news story that would interrupt Jeopardy, and everyone would go crazy because Jeopardy was blocked and they weren't sure. And then
Now, isn't it interesting that somebody who's a TV game show host can generate this kind of interest in this kind of emotion and feeling among viewers and people who saw the show for so many years? Jennings, for example, called Alex Trebek the last Cronkite.
Wow. Yeah, it's like a member of the family died.
Yeah, my feeling, going back quite a long ways, which says a lot about Alex Trebek, is, when Johnny Carson went off the air and went away, you just felt like you lost somebody that was a part of your daily routine, so someone you watched every day. Maybe that's the same kind of reference for Cronkite. Just a major impact. And he was so good with kids. He'd have the college competitions and the kids would come on, and it wasn't like, I don't think it was a big money game show or anything. It was just, you'd test your your knowledge of current events and past history. And I don't know how you go forward with somebody else. I'm sure they will try.
Yeah, people watch Jeopardy and like I do, and you play along while it's going. You start playing the game at home, and Alex Trebek made it so easy to do that.
And he crossed all generations. All kinds of
Yes.
age groups watched him. You know, it wasn't like it was a show for a particular age group. Everybody watches that.
Mm-hmm. Everybody knows Alex Trebek.
Yeah, until someone in the room is beating you like 4 questions to nothing, and then you turn that channel.
Right. So after we get through and realize, okay, Alex Trebek is gone. Now the next step will be for that show, who's going to replace Alex Trebek?
Yeah.
The guessing game will start.
You know, I remember when Ernie Harwell left the Tigers, and you just felt like it could never be the same in the booth. You just can you even listen to the radio anymore? But it goes on, and new people come in, and they definitely don't try and fill that person's shoes per se. They just have to kind of be themselves and hope the audience gets to know you. But Alex Trebek, just universally beloved. What a unique characteristic, and not even you think of today's TV, this people yelling and jumping around and shouting and doing everything they can to get your attention.
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, Jerry Springer. He could not have been more even keeled and humbled, and he would make mistakes from time to time, and he would just oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake, I should have known that. It was really an interesting person.
Well, he was a broadcaster, and such an expert broadcaster, someone for us, we are broadcasters, someone for us to try to emulate.
Yes.
I agree. What about Ken Jennings as the replacement?
Yeah, I thought about him too, actually.
They've talked about, not talked about that, but on the internet, they've talked about that. That's been a popular idea to have someone like that come in, and maybe that would be a good way to do it. The audience already knows him and likes him, and
he won so much money on the show, he might have to take a pay cut.
How about Chuck Woolery? Where's Chuck Woolery?
Chuck's probably got 4 game shows going on.
I used to love Chuck Woolery.
Everyone over at isn't there a game show network?
Well, you know
or
what they've been doing with these shows. Look at the trend. Bob Barker went out on The Price is Right, and they brought in a comedian who was well liked, Drew Carey, and at night. For all the nighttime shows, they bring in people who are comedians. Jay Leno, a stand-up comedian. Johnny Carson was not a stand-up. Johnny Carson was a broadcaster who became very good at stand-up comedy. But now they're all comedians. I would expect a comedian to take his place.
Good observation.
Although this is a serious information-based game show, so I guess it'll have to be a pretty smart comedian.
It may be one of those things where you don't want to be the first person to replace them. You let someone go in and kind of fail, and then you come in behind that person.
Right. It's so right.
And people are more the bar gets lowered.
I will wait to apply. I'll wait until the first guy gets in.
Well, you just ruined my whole strategy, Dick. I was going to send you in first, and I was going to come in behind you. Lower the bar for me. You're listening to the Paul W. Smith Show. We'll be back with much more in a little bit. Right now, we're going to check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes, somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Traffic First, also sponsored by Shelving.com. With 60 years of experience, Shelving.com knows what products are key to a successful business. Today and Tuesday only, shop select business essentials like rivet shelving and storage bins and save 11% with code Essential11. That's 11% off with code essential11shelving.com. We rack your world. 96 eastbound after Beck Road. Earlier accident is clear. New collision 75 northbound after Grange Hall Road. It is blocking the right shoulder. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by McLaren Health Plan. McLaren Health Plan is helping families stay healthy with coverage for virtual doctor visits, flu shots, and access to over 140 hospitals in Michigan. McLaren Health Plan, the right plan for right now. Learn more at McLarenHealthPlan.org. Well, we're going to get another day. It's going to be nice and sunny today. Temps will be in the 70s, a high of 71, record high temps once again after a great weekend. Tonight, a few passing clouds. Your low 58. It's going to be warm again on Tuesday. Intervals of clouds and sun. Slight chance of a rain shower. A high of 76. But folks, that's it. By Wednesday, we get back to normal. Clouds give way to mainly sunny skies, but a lot cooler. A high of 53. Clear skies, 51 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 1 minute.
Wow, 73 and sunny today.
That's
75.
amazing.
Get a couple more days to.
And then you think we're done, huh?
I think we're done. That was our little last warm up.
That's all right. That's a good bonus. That's better than I expected.
High 50s,
actually.
There was
a big snowstorm either last year at this time or the year before. Right now, right at this time, we got a ton of snow. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're still. Maybe it'll be a warmer winter this year.
I went to for the first time since March. I went to the gym when we had that cold, snowy, blowy weather. It was about 10 days ago or 8 days ago. I know it was like snowing sideways or something. Mm-hmm. I went up to the gym. It was a weird feeling going to the gym. I went one day and then I was back outside and I'm like, oh, thank gosh, this weather is here, to be able to go back outside and walk and, just get out and exercise.
How were you in the gym? What was it like?
It was, you wore a mask to the machines and then you didn't wear a mask on the machines and then you wore a mask to leave. So it felt really safe because that's all I did. I just walked right to a machine and, and then left. So I think that's what a lot of people are doing. But it was, like everywhere you go, like two machines shut down and one open.
Oh,
spaced out.
Yeah, like where you see restaurants tables are that way too or whatever. But it just it wasn't a good feel. It was kind of depressing. It was like, oh my, what am I, and then the weather switched again. It was like, oh, this is great. I'm so happy to be back out.
Yeah,
but
right.
no,
I've been going for the past couple of months, a month or so at least, to a class to kickboxing, and it's so hard because again everything's spaced out, but we keep our mask on, so I'm in there dying like under my mask trying to do aerobic activity, but it feels good to try to get back into the swing of things. But while it's warm, just continue to walk outside. Me and Annie the walkers.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great way to
stay outside. So today I'll be outside.
Yep, I agree.
I'm tomorrow.
I like that idea. So, Kev, what lawsuits do you think? You cover a lot of legal stuff. What lawsuits do you think are the most interesting to you? What are you going to watch?
I think it's, if you're talking about actually making a difference in the election, I think that it's going to have to be something that nobody's looking at quite right now. Mm-hmm. Everything everybody's looking at are a swath of numbers here and a swath of numbers there, and can you get enough to overturn a state,
mm-hmm.
let alone 3 states? He would need. So I think it's going to be something different. I think it's going to be something that's going to look at mail-in votes in general.
Yeah.
We had a lot of mail-in votes, more than ever before, and I'm no lawyer, but a lot of the decisions on how mail-in votes were going to work were COVID related. It was, mm-hmm. hey, we have COVID, so these are the dates, these are the times, these are the things.
Mm-hmm.
the way the law works is the legislature has to make up the laws. Governors can't, courts can't. We saw this through the governor would have this order, this executive order, and this is going to happen. And the legislature in Michigan would get mad. They'd say, no, this is something the legislature is supposed to do. And they'd say, no, these are unusual times. This is okay for executive orders. Something in that arena where someone may say, look, the people who've made the decisions on how and when all these mail-in votes are going to work, it wasn't the correct way. It had to go through the legislature, not through whoever made decisions. I don't know if Secretary of State or governors or who decided how it was all going to work, or if any of those decisions were different enough to change the number of votes anyway. But I just don't think these Sharpie arguments or the number of votes that came in late are going to make a difference. But I think it's great to. People always get mad at me. I always say I love lawsuits because lawsuits, you put people under oath and they shine light on things. And as a reporter, that's how we find a lot of things that we've been trying to dig into, and it eventually comes out in some sort of lawsuit. So I think we've all known that elections are messy. They're very messy. They always have been. We get reminded every so often. Just how messy they are. And, I spent 20 some days in Florida in 2000 covering that election with the hanging chads and the pregnant chads. And you're like, wow, this is how we do it.
Right.
There's got to be a better way, so if they can go through the process and make corrections and fix things. And one thing's for sure, they're going to have to spend some time on what the rules are going to be for mail-in voting, because that seems to be the way people are going. I mean, a lot of people always joke about, I just want to vote on my phone, click, A or B, and I'm not saying it's going there yet, but once people voted from home, they're gonna like that idea. I don't think they're gonna like heading in to vote in person as much.
Well, mail-in voting, when done right, is a piece of cake.
Yes.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
And it was a record number of people that voted. That's another history-making thing. And 70 million people still voted for President Trump, which is amazing. It's amazing that many people voted. So President-elect Biden called for healing. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be a piece of cake just because they're the presumed winners. Because a lot of people still supported Trump, and they're very disappointed, which is understanding. So, but I mean, dead people have been voting for how many years? I mean, for a long time. So it's like there's a lot to fix, as you mentioned, Kevin. And it seems like something always has to happen, as you said, before things are looked at more closely. It's like, let's fix some of these things before the next time or the next time or the next time. So we made it through another election, we think.
Yeah, it's it's not easy for anybody, but I think everybody will feel better once everything is worked through, and we have a chance to watch the objections be heard, and they go through it. So I think it's a good thing to do. You don't want to 71 million people being angry saying,
right.
this wasn't right, and if it wasn't right, you don't want that.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Welcome back. The round table is here. We're with Ann Thomas, Dick Hafner, and Dana Clark, and we've been talking a lot about the elections. We talked about Alex Trebek a little bit. I wanted to talk to you guys just a little bit about this COVID popping back up. Crazy record numbers, and something we're really going to have to pay attention to. President-elect Biden said that it's going to be a top priority. President Trump is back in the White House. He's going to see these numbers come up here in Michigan. Governor Whitmer will be speaking on this because the numbers are just spiking. And, we saw a lot of images over the weekend. I don't know if you guys caught the Notre Dame football game, but they had a big upset over Clemson. And when you see a big game, one of the things that happens is the fans just storm the field and tear down the goalposts. And you know, everybody, the people who went to the game, of course, they had their masks and they social distanced. But when they won, they stormed that field, and everybody was everywhere. There was no concerns of COVID, and we saw similar scenes all across in many major cities when the election was called for Joe Biden. People took to the streets, you know, and in big numbers, and it's a little concerning. And I'm curious. Do you guys do you have the same fear of COVID that you had the first time that the numbers spiked? Because I read that they're thinking about opening up the field hospitals again in Detroit and Novi. That the hospital bed numbers are starting to dwindle away, and I just wonder how you guys are seeing COVID right now. Are you worried about depression coming into winter and people being isolated again? And I don't know, Dana. Let's start with you. What are your thoughts on COVID as we see these numbers just spike up again?
Yes, and yes. I'm still worried as I was the first time. They said this would occur. Most experts said that we would hit a second wave. I think with the election being on and all people being out, it was even higher than we anticipated it would be, maybe. And I just think the first thing I think is when I see a crowd of people is go home, which is terrible. That's my first thought.
Me too.
So yes, I am just as worried and freaked out, and I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's a lot. It's heavy.
Dick, as you look at the news wires and you follow this, is this second wave going to be close to as difficult and trying as the first wave, or do we have a better handle on things and the death rate is lower because we know what we're doing now? What do you see in the numbers?
In my opinion, I don't think we have a very good handle on things. I think we've just been biding time for a vaccine that will be effective and safe. We don't know for sure if we have one of those coming down the pike. Dr. Fauci says we do. Redfield, the doctor at CDC, says we do, but we don't know until it happens. And I totally agree with Dana's assessment. In the beginning, I thought right at the beginning that this would take 2 years for us to get a handle on and actually turn the corner. And I think, tragically, I wish it wasn't true, but I think that was an accurate assessment. We will be different maybe at this time next year, but I think it'll take a long time. And I am expecting that after the dust settles with the election, Democratic governors like Whitmer will start locking down the economies again like we had before, and Biden will encourage them to do that. I don't think a president has the power to lock down the economy of the country. I think the individual states have to do that, but that's what I think is coming. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've been more along the lines of social distance, wear your mask. If you're young and healthy, okay, your risk is low. Live your life as normal as you can. Protect the elderly and protect those who need to be protected. But at different times, as the spikes go up, I get a little more nervous, because at the end of the day, you really don't want it. You don't know the long-term effects of it, and you definitely don't want to give it to someone who is vulnerable. And I was reading in the paper that they're expecting another run on things like toilet paper and peanut butter and things like that. And so I don't think I'm alone that when these numbers go up, people start to get a little more concerned and a little more scared. And I just wondering, what at your home have you been in the same? It's COVID since since March 15th or whatever first game, hit you hard to now, or have you had peaks and valleys of how you guys interact with people?
We definitely have had peaks and valleys. So in the summer, when we were able to be outside more, we socialized outside and it was great. And then when the weather got kind of chilly a few weeks ago, you find yourself going back in, and now you see the cases rising. And then, I do think that we're going to have to be careful moving into the winter months. But I like the idea of still trying to do things, and be with people, do it in a safe, social distanced way, wear a mask. I don't like the idea of having to shut everything down again, because it's just not good. It's not good for people's mental health. It's not good for anything. It's not good for the economy. So I'm hoping that we can start to really, really talk about this and think about doing things in a responsible way.
Yeah, I agree with Dick, though. Right now, if you eat at a restaurant, you have to leave your name and phone number so people can contact trace you back in case the COVID hits there. I think we might be looking at more shutdowns, which is going to be really, really hard on people.
And by the way, there's a story this morning, Kev, in the Detroit News. Warren is closing City Hall after spikes in employee COVID-19 cases. So you're right. We're going to see more.
Yeah, I think so. All right, you are listening to the Paul W. Smith Show. We have much more coming up. We're going to take a quick break, check traffic and weather with Dane Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Now, WJR Traffic First, sponsored by the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit. When your commercial, industrial, public, or residential project calls for plumbers, pipe fitters, or HVAC service technicians, the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit connects you with the very best, highly skilled and trained union contractors. To get started on your next project, visit mcadetroit.org. Just looking at a slight delay along the Blue Water Bridge westbound between Canada and the U.S., a 30-minute backup for trucks. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Construction Association of Michigan. CAM has been helping commercial and industrial contractors and suppliers grow since 1885. Now is the time to join the most powerful network of construction professionals in the state, the Construction Association of Michigan. Join today. Get listed in the 2021 Construction Buyer's Guide. Learn more at buildwithcam.com. That's buildwithcam.com.
Little cloud early, otherwise sunshine and near record heat in the forecast today. Forecast high of 73. A few clouds tonight, 58. Partial clouds tomorrow, very warm, maybe record heat once again with a chance of a shower. And a gusty breeze, 77. Much cooler Wednesday. Cloud sunshine, 53. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
Consumers Energy's Clean Energy Plan eliminates coal, boosts renewable energy, and creates.
You all set, Kev? You've got your notes and everything?
Yeah, I guess so.
The other thing that
Facebook, we're going to stick around. I think is this where you guys head off to
do whatever?
But we're going to do whatever it is you guys do. we're going to stay for the whole show today on Facebook. So stick around if you feel so inclined.
One thing they may do is they may watch and see if these new shutdowns in Europe work.
Right. So we have. We have we had an au pair when our kids were little, and she lives in Germany, and she keeps giving us updates, and it's and it's interesting to see what's happening in different different countries where they seem to be a little bit ahead of us.
What does she say?
They say it looks bad, and that it's that they're moving into shutdowns, and that I saw something that said, I think like, I don't know, it's like 20 different countries have increased shutdowns in the last 5 days or so, because the numbers are up. Mm-hmm. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. That now that we know who's most vulnerable and what they need, if some of these other drugs will help, or if we know more about them than we did in March, the first time through, hopefully we can keep that death rate as low as possible. And the vaccine, I know as part of the election, it's coming, it's not coming, it's coming, it's not coming. Hopefully we can find out where they're at on that, because even though a lot of people don't want to take it, a lot of people need to take it, and so that will help once it's here too. And really, it seems like there's no real solution until the vaccine is available to everybody. I didn't see 60 Minutes yesterday, but I heard they went in Operation Warp Speed, and we're going to show how the military was going to put out all these vaccines once able. Were you familiar? Do you remember when the president said we're going to deliver, a million, however many millions of the military's ready to go? And 60 Minutes did a piece on the military and Operation Warp Speed of how they'll get that vaccine out. Or at least I heard it promoted, but I didn't see it. I'll have to go back and try and find it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it will be interesting to see how fast they can get out and how many people will.
And every budget. Email them at greatlakes@uhy-us.com. Again, that's greatlakes@uhy-us.com.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Mary Kramer is brought to you by UHY Advisors and CPAs serving Metro Detroit and across the globe for over 50 years. Perhaps the biggest winners of the election were the sales departments at media stations in swing states where record spending took place on the 2020 election. The Gary Peters John James race alone was over $130 million. That's one of the stories Crane's Detroit Business has this morning. Joining us now is Mary Kramer. Mary, how are you?
I'm great, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. It's been such a long election process and so much emotions up and down. But you guys have kind of broken down into the numbers from a business standpoint, and working in TV for so long, I know that election season was crucial to the budgets, and it looks like it didn't disappoint this time around.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Kevin, because the broadcast gives a discount to political advertising. And even that said, like you mentioned, $131 million for the Senate campaign alone. Our tally, which is actually from the analytics that the Michigan Campaign Finance Network did, WDIV Channel 4 alone was $54 million in political ad spending. And that's at a discount. That's almost at a 50% discount off what the normal rate that they would charge other advertisers. But I'm sure, the context that the story is Nick Manis did the story, and we all read the story internally. And Chad Livengood had a great take on this because he knows that I'm on the board at Grand Valley State University, and he said, that dollar amount is more than what Michigan taxpayers contribute towards the operation of Ferris State and Grand Valley State combined. So that kind of puts an interesting perspective.
Yeah, these ads come and everybody just cringes and wants to turn off the TV. They hate them so much, and they cost so much money. And you wonder if there could be a better use for them. Certainly, the universities would love to see
have the donation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, and I imagine some states, that are already pretty much predetermined, unless there's a Senate race, don't see that influx of cash into the media.
Yeah,
businesses.
You're right. It was a tight race, and so that's why Michigan got a lot. And there's an interesting interview with Ron Weiser in this week's issue. He's former chair of the Michigan Republican Party. He was a fundraiser for Susan Collins in Maine, and his take is that there's only so much you can do with advertising because there's only so many times you can say the same thing. And I think most viewers and listeners would agree with that.
Yeah, I would be for each candidate getting a set amount, the same amount, and that's it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see any indications that dark money is going away anytime soon. Which may be good for media, but it means we're all going to be seeing these commercials more and more places. And now the pop-ups. Did you get all those text messages on your phone? That's an urgent message from this campaign or that campaign. I saw.
Honestly, I did not.
Yeah, I try and block them, and then they'll come back in a similar but different number, and there's all of that too. It's really, really a lot of money being spent on getting people elected. Very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to reading that. You guys had another story that I wanted to ask you about Calvin Johnson. So Calvin Johnson is one of the greatest Lions football players of all times, amazing receiver. And he retired pretty, still in his prime. He had some years left, and people were surprised he left, but he did. And he's gotten into a new emerging business and seems to be doing quite well at it.
Yeah, this is an interesting story. Kurt Nagel sat down with Calvin Johnson for an interview about his business. It's called, the name of the company is Primitive. And what it is a marijuana processing and distribution. It's cultivating and processing, and then they sell to stores around the state, both for medical marijuana and for recreational marijuana. And their plant is near Weberville. And that's near Lansing. And it's an interesting story because, you always look at these athletes and you think, you read the stories about people who had millions and millions of dollars and either lost some because they had the bad money manager, or they had too many buddies around trying to get them to go into deals and that kind of thing. And Calvin Johnson really seems to have gotten his arms around how he wants to do his business post his pro football career. And so he is investing in this with a former teammate. And he's also got a new company called Locker Room Consulting, which is consulting with other athletes about the same kinds of things. And he's doing this with his former teammate, Rob Sims. So it's an interesting story about his transition to the business world. And it's also interesting that he actually used the product to help him when medical marijuana with cannabis was the only thing that was helping him while he was still playing and in so much pain. So he knows the value of it, and that's one of the reasons he got into the business.
Yeah, former Red Wing Darren McCarty often talks about the pain he had and how marijuana helped him, and he's involved in a company as well. And a big part of his advertising is say, look, this is very helpful for a lot of people. You want to look at it differently than maybe you did 10, 20 years ago. And the business side of this thing is huge. You mentioned that he's helping other athletes transition, from sports into business and other things, and that's so crucial. But I noticed the Locker Room Consulting. It just made me think of the consultants in this marijuana industry and in the election industry have just been as busy as they could be, making an awful lot of money, helping people weave their way through how this marijuana thing is going to work out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the lobbying and the consulting in both fields. You mentioned going back to politics for a minute, just in the same story that we were talking about a few minutes ago. One group, watchdog group, says that in the 2020 election cycle, 3 companies got over $1 billion, over $1.4 billion for media buys. 3 companies, and their clients were, of course, Trump, Biden, and Mike Bloomberg, who was also spending lots of money, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mike Bloomberg, he spent all his money in places and didn't get the outcomes that he wanted.
He didn't get it in Florida, that's for sure.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Amazing. There's a couple other great stories. We don't have time to talk about them, but you want to check out Cranes this week. It's absolutely excellent reporting. Mary Kramer, thanks for stopping into the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you, Kevin.
And Mary Kramer is brought to you by UHY Advisors and CPAs serving Metro Detroit and across the globe for over 50 years. Let's check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by MGM Grand Detroit. It's game on at the BetMGM Sports Lounge inside MGM Grand Detroit. Place real money wagers on your favorite sports and watch the games on over 60 HD TVs. Stop by anytime for the best sports betting action in Michigan. Must be 21 or older.
Traffic First, also sponsored by the Cremation Society of Michigan. For over 32 years, the Cremation Society of Michigan has been providing dignified cremation services without the cost of traditional funerals. For cremation information, contact the Cremation Society of Michigan at 1-800-241-3131 or visit cremationmichigan.com. 696 westbound between Gratiot and Groesbeck. Construction has 2 lanes closed there. Your left 2 lanes are shut down until 3 p.m. today, seeing delays from at least 94. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the National Electrical Contractors Association, NECA, and IBEW Local 58. It's National Apprenticeship Week. Their electrical apprenticeships are full-time, earn while you learn programs that start you on a lifelong career path in the growing electrical industry with great wages, benefits, and retirement. Apply on November 16th. Visit DetroitEITC.org. The best contractors, the best electricians, period. We get another day of lots of sunshine. Temps stay above normal for this time of year. High of 71 tonight. Few passing clouds, low 58. Warm once again on Tuesday. Clouds and then sun. Slight chance of an afternoon rain shower and a high of 76. Clear skies, 51 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Havener in 1 minute.
This year, Michigan businesses have had to adapt, and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation was right there alongside them, helping to connect businesses to new resources, meet new partners, and access the additional capital they needed right from the start. If your business needs support to reach its new potential, the MEDC is available to help in any way we can. Contact us today for customized business assistance at michiganbusiness.org/partnership.
Tune into The Rich Paul Show Saturdays at 9 a.m., Mondays at 7 p.m. This week on the show, grading our financial competency and election limbo. So tune in 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 7 p.m. on Mondays on The Rich Paul Show here on WJR.
There are other automakers in Detroit, but there's only one that's built for Detroit. Ford, the motor company that remembers the Motor City who birthed it. The one restoring the old train station. The one that employs more hourly workers in the U.S. than any other automaker. The one that assembles more vehicles in the U.S. than any other manufacturer. The one that supplied PPE to frontline workers in Detroit and assembled ventilators and respirators when the U.S. needed them. The one with a football field in Detroit named after the century-old family-led business started right here in Detroit. Built for Detroit. Built for America. Built Ford proud.
Based on Center for Automotive Research data. Based on IHS Markit CYE 2019 U.S. light vehicle production data. Assembled with U.S. and imported content.
President Trump is pursuing legal fights in multiple states to contest the election, but several of his campaign lawsuits have already been thrown out. Here's more.
In Michigan, a judge dismissed a Trump campaign lawsuit after a short hearing, noting the campaign had provided no substantive evidence of wrongdoing. In Georgia, a judge quickly dismissed a Trump campaign lawsuit for lack of evidence. A federal judge in Pennsylvania last week expressed skepticism over the Trump campaign's claims of voter fraud. Another lawsuit in Nevada is still pending. The Biden campaign has dismissed the lawsuits as meritless and unlikely to change the election results in any state. In Washington, John Decker, Fox News.
In Pennsylvania, his attorney Rudy Giuliani says a lawsuit will be filed for various violations of election law.
Violating civil rights, for conducting an unfair election, for violating the law of the state, for treating Pittsburgh and Philadelphia different than the rest of the state, which is an equal protection violation, which goes under Bush v. Gore.
West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin says Democrats need to shake the socialist label.
That was an albatross around us, basically labeling every Democrat as a socialist or supporting socialism. That's not who we are. It's not who I am. It's not how we were raised. And it hurt a lot of good Democrats in rural America.
The dangerous surge is continuing. Michigan Health Department officials report another record day of cases of coronavirus, 6,225 new cases, and another 65 deaths. The daily rate is 5 times higher than what was reported.
Kev, I have a couple of program notes for you and our viewers this morning.
All right.
At 8:05, add in Rachel Sutherland.
Okay.
She is Fox News correspondent and WJR contributor. She'll be at 8:05, and she's out of Washington, D.C., so she'll have all the latest on what's going on there this morning.
Okay.
So there's Rachel. And then at 7:35, add in, please, Ryan Casson. You've probably talked to Ryan before on some of the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you his title. He is a political strategist. He's the CEO of Beast Digital. And he's watching this passing scene on, everything election 2020.
Okay.
Just what's going on. I can send you their little write-up, presidential transitioning, presidential non-transitioning, just kind of like he's looking at the passing scene with regard to what's going on inside the Trump administration at this time, that kind of thing. Ryan Casson is at 7:35.
Okay.
And I believe that will do us for the moment.
All right. Sounds good.
And coming up here, you've got our first sad football update. And Mel Tucker, he's at
the end of the show.
Yeah, he's at the end now. He usually tapes on Sundays with Steve,
okay.
but he wanted to go live this morning because I guess he couldn't do something yesterday.
Okay.
So this
Probably wanted 24 hours to.
he needed time to breathe. And no, I don't know exactly what was going on with that. This is, of course, our first experience with him. He's such a nice man.
Yeah.
So he's enjoyable to chat with. I think that's it for the moment. Any other questions at this time, sir?
No, we're good. We're having fun.
Yep, absolutely. And then Brian should have Steve set up. I'm just looking. Did you see if we're good to go, I think? Oh, Brian says his stepson and grandkids are in Amsterdam and they're shut down.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I think that's going to be very telling if it works, because we'll follow suit if it works.
Right. Hopefully.
If it doesn't work, we're not going to do it that way.
Yeah, I think we're. I feel like we've learned a lot.
I do too.
About COVID, and if we can execute, then we'll be okay. I mean, we'll be better off than we could have been.
I think there's got to be a way, though, to take the politics out of it and get everybody on the same page about this is what we need to do to keep each other safe. It's not political.
Right.
Let's just figure this out. I think until you do that, I think you're going to have trouble. But I'm not sure how you do that, Kev.
Well, you just I think you continue to put results out there of studies that they're finding if it's working or not, and if it's working, then you got to have people want to do it, instead of
you can't tell them to do it.
Right. They have to get on board.
Right. I just don't think that you can tell anybody what to do about anything at this point.
But maybe, as the election stress moves away and it becomes more individually of just a health issue, people might look at it differently.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is we had John Purich on. Do you know John?
No.
The election attorney? I actually got his contact information from Guy's show, but he's really interesting. He really knows his election stuff. But we're probably going to need a whole list of election experts this week.
Yeah.
So anybody else but I think you'll really enjoy talking to John. He's retired from his elections work, but he still teaches law at Michigan State. So, and then I'm going to send you the announcement coming at 7:48 on the Pope Francis Center.
Okay.
Because the scoop on that, they've had their homeless population, their guests outside, and now that the weather's going to turn, they've got to figure out what to do, but they can't have them in their smaller area, so they needed an area where it was socially distanced, and they've come up with something.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
That's great.
So that's coming too. I'm going to let you be here because I think must be coming back.
All right.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
When you're playing a tough team like the Minnesota Vikings, you want to get off to a good start. And it's probably a good idea to have all 11 players on the field, but that didn't happen. The best news of the day for the Lions came before the game when we learned that quarterback Matthew Stafford was cleared of COVID concerns and was going to be able to play. Joining us on the line now is Mike O'Hara, DetroitLions.com. Mike, welcome to the show. Do we have Mike?
Yeah, he's right here. Can you
Hey,
hear me?
Mike. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I guess I'm doing better than our phone connection.
Well, I can hear you now. That's good. A tough day for the Lions, all the way around. As you look at it from 1,000 feet up, where are we at with these guys?
1,000 feet down. It just wasn't good. And look, Kevin, gone through this before, but they had a chance, a couple of weeks ago when they got to 3-3 to make a run, and here they are again already on another losing skid. They lost at home last week to the Indianapolis Colts. Just got beaten up at the line of scrimmage. And then again yesterday with the Minnesota Vikings, a team with real problems. They were 2-5 or 2-6 going into the game, and then run for 275 yards, pass for 220, and just absolutely dominate the game. And anytime the Lions just had a flicker of a comeback, they just kind of flicked them off, and like getting rid of a gnat or something like that. And the Vikings had an answer for everything the Lions tried, and they just got dominated yesterday.
What is going on with our defense? I mean, it's not what I expected this far into Matt Patricia's tenure to have a defense that just completely falls apart the way they did yesterday.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and that's to me is the most surprising thing that in his now 2.5 year tenure as head coach. There's been, if you just break it up into halves, we've had 10 halves, so there's such a thing. And the only time when I think that the defense really stepped up and was good was in the second half of the 2018 season. You remember when they made the trade for Snacks Harrison and he reported in shape and all that. And the Lions really played pretty good ball the second half of that season. They finished, in the top 10 overall in yards allowed, top 10 in rushing defense. And really they were better than that the second half because they were starting at such a low point and really clawed their way into respectability defensively. But all of that changed last year, and they haven't recovered at all. They can't stop people. They can't get stops. They can't get big turnovers. They can't rush the quarterback. I mean, some of the statistics on that team are just absolutely alarming. Giving up 1,100 yards plus rushing, and they've got 10 quarterback sacks in 8 games, or 11, I think it is. Either way, that works out to 20 or 22 for the season, and that's not professional football in this era.
Let's bring Steve Courtney into the conversation. Steve, we're talking Lions, and it's not good.
Not at all. Good morning, Kev, Mo. The battle cry for a while as it applied to these Lions was, well, you take a look at the schedule, and it sets up pretty darn good. We're running out of time. Lions now at the midway point, 3-5. And, it's just one disappointment after another. And, we can sit here and talk about the defense, which is absolutely porous, but this offense has yet to click. The Vikings defense, Mike, was not good going into that tilt yesterday. The Lions could not find a way to exploit it.
Well, it wasn't good yesterday either. If you really look at it, they gave up 400 something yards, and the Lions ran for 129. A couple of big turnovers there are really what undid the Lions there in the second half. But you're right. And Steve, they've got a favorable schedule coming up. But we've heard this before. They play the Washington football team next week. They're 2-6 or 2-7. After that, they go to Carolina. That's lost 4 straight, and then home against the Houston on Thanksgiving Day against Houston, who's 2-6. But it's almost an indictment of your team that now you have a chance because the worst teams in the league are coming up on your schedule. That's like a backhanded slap that's all you can compete with. But right now, that's the reality of where the Detroit Lions are.
Well, and that was the backhanded compliment during that 2-game win streak. Okay, you've won a couple in a row, but it was at the expense of a poor Jacksonville team and a struggling Atlanta team. The Lions have had opportunity to make a statement last week at home, as a matter of fact, against the Colts, and then on the road against a Vikings team still trying to find itself. And it didn't work out, Mike. And this is where the Lions fans' frustration comes in. Not to mention, I know you guys were talking about the Lions' defensive performance yesterday. Everybody knew Dalvin Cook was going to get the ball. He did, to the tune of 206 yards. Mike, the bottom line is, as we look to the start of the second half of this season, this Lions team clearly has a lot of issues.
Yeah, and it's not just one. You can't just point at one part of it. You talk about playing complementary football, the defense picking up the offense picking up the defense. The one area that's really held its own and excelled, I'd say, under a new coordinator, Braden Coombs, is the special teams. I mean, they got 2 block punts yesterday. They cover like maniacs. You see Miles Killebrew down there on kickoff coverage. I mean, they really are good at that. But you're not going to carry your team really on special teams unless you're the kind of team that keeps games close and win at the end or whatever. And that just hasn't been the case consistently this year for the Detroit Lions. Or really, when you really think about it, any year, it's just been a tough go. And also failing, to take advantage of opportunities. Look, they get down 13-0. They score with a minute 19 to go yesterday to cut it to 13-10. And you think, okay, maybe they're in business. All of a sudden, they're out of business in the last minute and whatever seconds. The Vikings drive 87 yards in 6 plays. Mir Abdullah, 22-yard touchdown catch, former Detroit Lion, and really that makes it 20-10, and the Vikings again score early in the third quarter, and then it's not a game anymore.
Well, up next will be that Washington football team. Oh, they're 2-6. They'll be at Ford Field come Sunday. Mike, we'll preview that come Friday, my friend.
All right, Steve. All right, Joe. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Steve. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Fever is the leading sign of COVID-19. Use an accurate thermometer for twice daily checks. Protect your loved ones with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It takes an accurate reading in seconds and is the only home thermometer recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
Traffic First also sponsored by McLaren Health Plan. McLaren Health Plan is helping families stay healthy with coverage for virtual doctor visits, flu shots, and access to over 140 hospitals in Michigan. McLaren Health Plan, the right plan for right now. Learn more at mclarenhealthplan.org. 696 westbound between Gratiot and Groesbeck. Your left 2 lanes are closed until 3 p.m. today. Seeing delays from 94. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Sponsored by the Cremation Society of Michigan. For over 32 years, the Cremation Society of Michigan has been providing dignified cremation services without the cost of traditional funerals. For cremation information, contact the Cremation Society of Michigan at 1-800-241-3131 or visit cremationmichigan.com.
Record heat yesterday, 73 degrees. A record today, I think so. Record is 75, set in 1999. Forecast high is 73, but I think we've got a chance of getting to 75. Lots of sunshine, some clouds early. Tonight, a mild 58. Tomorrow, some record heat on the southwest breeze, 77. And then some cooler weather Wednesday. Clouds, sun highs only in the low 50s. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
All right. SAE Ion Engineering with Lindsay Brooke with Automotive Engineering Magazine is brought to you by Continental Automotive, the future in motion. Visit continental-automotive.com to find out more.
Ford aims to install its new hands-free driving technology on 100,000 vehicles in its first year. The system is called Active Drive Assist. Available in late 2021, it will be part of a $1,600 option on the new F-150 and part of a $3,200 option on the electric Mustang Mach-E. It will come standard on top-of-the-line versions of these models. Active Drive Assist allows drivers to take their hands off the wheel while keeping their eyes on the road. It works on about 100,000 miles of North American highways that Ford has mapped. Ford claims active drive assist will be priced lower than Tesla's autopilot system and lower than GM's Super Cruise. For Automotive Engineering Magazine, I'm Lindsay Brooke, and that's this week's SAE Eye on Engineering.
There are nearly 40,000 lives lost on U.S. roadways every year. At Continental, we're working to reduce that number to zero. It starts with driver assist technologies that are available right now. Up to 10,000 lives could be saved if these safety features, such as automatic emergency braking, blind spot detection, and lane departure warning, existed in every vehicle. As one of the world's top tech companies, we're combining our expertise in automated driving and connectivity to make a better world for everyone, today and tomorrow. It takes remarkable technology to make this possible, and Continental is turning big ideas into reality. We're developing 3D sensing technologies that work in adverse weather, a voice-controlled digital companion that enhances the comfort and convenience of your drive, and holographic instrument displays that will make driving more intuitive. For more, visit Continental.com. Continental Automotive, the future in motion.
Recently, WJR filmed a very informative webinar with me and my local expert friends at Senior Health Medicare. Guy Gordon here, and now is the time to learn and save when it comes to your Medicare needs. This webinar is a WJR must-see. All you need to do is visit mymedicareuniversity.com. As you view the webinar, you can live chat throughout in real time with an advisor from Senior Health Medicare. So visit mymedicareuniversity.com to view our must-see free webinar or call 248-230-8595 for consultation. I can tell you thousands of WJR seniors have benefited from our trusted local experts at Senior Health Medicare. And I am so confident this webinar will guide you through the confusing Medicare maze that confronts all of us. Annual election period is here, so do not wait. Get informed and receive your local guidance today. Visit mymedicareuniversity.com to view our free webinar anytime.
So we don't have Mark yet. I just sent his people a note. I mean, he should have called by 6:45.
Is it Leneve?
Lenave, Mark Lenave. So let's see here, but I'm here in case you need to talk to me.
Do you still want to talk about this issue for them, or?
I mean, he may call us at 7:05. You know, he's
Right.
definitely overslept or something. So we don't have to. We can talk about anything right now.
You might be thinking, I don't need all three, windows, roofing, and siding. No problem. Just windows, $2. Just a roof, $2. Just siding, $2. It's so incredibly inexpensive that anyone can afford it. Anyone, including you. We can do this because we have the best financing partners on the planet. Our quality and workmanship is the best in Michigan. We are the only company that offers a true full lifetime guarantee on every window, roof, and siding job we install. No fine print, no loopholes, no gotchas. So for the best windows, roofing, and siding for just $6 a day for all three, call Performance Remodeling at 586-540-6000 or online at windowsroofingsiding.com.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Good morning and welcome back. It is November the 9th, 2020. Joining us now is Ann Thomas. Ann, welcome back into the show.
Great to be here on this Monday morning, Kev.
I know. How are you loving this weather? I just can't believe it. Did they say 75 in that report?
75 and sunny today. Great day to get outside and put out the Christmas lights.
You know what? That's actually on the agenda, believe it or not. As the debate was happening over the weekend, and I was losing that debate, and it was determined that the lights are going to go up, and I'm going to be involved in that project, and
heavily involved.
And if that has to happen, then it's definitely good that it'll be 75 and sunny and not windy and icy and cold. The weather's been absolutely beautiful. Have you been out and about a lot? It's been one of those things where you see the COVID numbers have been spiking, but it's beautiful outside. So a real nice opportunity to kind of get out and go for a walk or a bike ride. I saw people on social media posting pictures of them water skiing and wakeboarding.
Oh, really?
It's one thing to go golfing in November, early November, but to actually go water skiing is something else.
And haven't most people already kind of put their boats away and shut down their pools and that kind of thing?
Yeah, although it's funny. A lot of people, if they store their boat, at home instead of having a company store it, they'll just drive over and pop it in for the day.
That's awesome. That's great.
Which is pretty wild. I did see a warning though on this weather. The warm weather has created a wildfire concern in West Michigan, and they're urging people to be careful in West Michigan, making sure that they don't leave any cigarettes out in the woods or any campfires going. They're a little concerned that it's so warm that it's also very dry.
I also saw one of those sensitive air alerts come on my phone over the weekend. Every now and again, you'll see that come up, and it's interesting. I don't know what it means, but it said for people that are sensitive to certain weather conditions, it was a sensitive air alert.
Really? It's interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with allergies and asthma or those kinds of things.
Probably. That's exactly right. Plus, with the leaves falling, a lot of people have allergies at this time of year.
And then down in Florida, they're getting ready for a hurricane or a tropical storm, I guess. Is it Eta? Is that what they're calling this one? But they're concerned that this is going to be a pretty bad storm heading into Florida, and they're getting ready for that.
Yes, Paul was telling me that too over the weekend. He had plans to go down to Florida, and he's trying to get down there, but he's very concerned about this hurricane, and he was getting alerts from the airline saying that you could change your plans if you thought you should.
Yeah, but between worrying about COVID and getting to Florida, and then you get down there and get a hurricane, that's not easy. Not easy.
So speaking of COVID, have you been to any of the restaurants where they have the igloos outside?
No, but I have seen those. How do you feel about those? They almost look like they trapped COVID in from the last person to me, rather than blocking COVID from coming out.
We should get Luciano Del Signore on, because he has them in Birmingham at Casa Pernod, and he came on and said that he was going to do that. And I'd love to get an update from him on what he thinks of them and how they're working, because initially you do look at them and you think, oh wow, you're kind of still inside. But you are with your own party inside one, so that's probably safer because you're already with that bubble elsewhere. And they probably thoroughly clean them before the next group goes into them. It's a great idea.
Well, they have to do something, because when the weather does turn, if they don't have that outdoor space, I mean, they're just not going to make it. We've had the experts on about the number of restaurants that are closing permanently, and I mean, they're really in for the fight of their life, and the COVID numbers are going up, which is going to make people more inclined to stay home. And even just this this new rule about giving your phone number to the restaurant when you go and eat at a restaurant, people they don't like that. They don't want to give their phone number to people. They're protective of their phone number. And I think those little things make a big difference on what people are doing. And the margins are so tight that you need things like these, outdoor contraptions that you can keep warm to keep these restaurants going. So we should get them on and see if it's working out. All right, you are listening to the Paul W. Smith Show on this Monday morning. We're going to have much more after we take a quick break, check in on weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Traffic First, sponsored by the Cremation Society of Michigan. For over 32 years, the Cremation Society of Michigan has been providing dignified cremation services without the cost of traditional funerals. For cremation information, contact the Cremation Society of Michigan at 1-800-241-3131 or visit cremationmichigan.com. Upcoming construction is happening along 14 Mile, both directions, eastbound and westbound, at 75. That's in Troy. Starting today at 9 a.m., all lanes scheduled to close at 75 through Sunday, for paving and stripping. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Reamer Floors. The latest in waterproof flooring technology is on sale now at Reamer Floors. Save 30% on Empower by Armstrong flooring, featuring a reinforced mineral core and superior scratch resistance. Visit reamerfloors.com to schedule your shop at home or in-store appointment. Few more days of temps being nice and mild. Sunshine today, a high of 71. Tonight, few passing clouds. Not bad overnight at all. 58 degrees for Tuesday. Some clouds, some sun, slight chance of a rain shower, a high of 76. Clear skies, 51 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 2 minutes.
What's the perfect gift for every guy this holiday season? Untucked shirts. They're the comfortable, easy to wear.
So it's interesting. Did you see this story that Alex Trebek's last show was actually going to air on Christmas? So they must have everything taped up to Christmas Day. Well, through Christmas Day.
I saw a headline about emotional, Trebek being emotional about a Christmas concert. I thought maybe it was last Christmas. I wonder if it's the one he taped for this upcoming Christmas.
Mm-hmm. It must be.
And will that feel weird to watch him?
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, it's one thing on reruns.
So his last taping, Kev, was October 29th.
October 29th.
And it says his final episode will air on Christmas Day. Yeah, I think it would be a little bit, it'd be hard.
Huh. That's interesting. That disease, it must just hit you in waves, where you're feeling good enough to tape on October 29th, and you pass away, 10 days later.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But he's had so many ups and downs with that disease, The other interesting story is, how people love dogs. You have a dog, don't you?
Yeah, yes.
So now there's going to be a dog in the White House again.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's about German. I think it might be a German Shepherd.
It's a German Shepherd. Yeah, it's a rescue dog, right?
Yes, and this is funny. The first rescue dog ever in the White House. There's a lot of firsts. And this is a first. The first is, there's 2 dogs coming.
Champ and Major. Right?
Champ and Major, yes. And I don't know which one is the rescue dog.
Major is.
Major, okay, all right.
Although I could be wrong, but I'm gonna say that's how I remember it.
Yeah, no, it says the Bidens fostered Major before adopting him through the Delaware Humane Association, but they're huge. They're big dogs.
Big dogs.
What kind of dog?
So I have a little dog. I have a Yorkie Poo, little tiny dog.
It's going to be good for the rescue dog world, though, because it's important if people love dogs, if they would consider doing a rescue dog.
Right. No, it'd be great for that. Great for that world, for sure.
Yeah.
The governor has a couple of dogs. I know this because one of her dogs' name is Kevin.
Oh.
her first dog is Kevin, and then she wasn't happy enough with that. That wasn't good enough, so she got a second dog, and I believe it has a regular name too, like David or something. I don't know what the.
Wait, what is your dog's name?
Bailey.
That's a cute one.
She's was named after Bailey's Irish Cream.
I knew that. I figured
she's the color of Bailey's Irish Cream, and she.
Our dog, we had 2 dogs. The first dog was Curly, and the second dog was Seamus O'Mara. But we no longer have those dogs, and there's no interest in any more dogs coming in at this time. The other dog for the governor is Doug.
Doug, yeah, okay, not David, Doug. And I don't know. I guess I feel like I didn't know the Trumps didn't have a dog, but before that, I believe the Obamas had kids and dogs. So
yeah, I think that it's people love to see the dogs in the White. Well, people love to see dogs no matter what. Now, if something unfortunate happened to Bailey, I hope Bailey's not within earshot at this time. But if something unfortunate happened to Bailey, would there be another dog?
Bailey is going to be 14 this year. So we are very clear on what happens next. I am getting a robot dog.
A robot.
There's no more dogs here. We've told the kids don't go get any dogs. Don't bring any dogs over to watch.
We have the same attitude.
We did 14 years. I think a nice robot dog would be great. You turn it on and off.
Ed says that we could have another dog if, this is very funny, we could have another dog if we could pay somebody to take care of the dog. So the only time that we would have the dog is when the dog was just being nice by our feet.
Like a grandchild.
Yeah. I said, I don't think that's really how that's supposed to, that's supposed to be. But here's the issue. I love dogs. Every time I see a dog, I think, oh, I would like another dog. But they're a lot of work when they're puppies. Yes. In the middle years, things go pretty well. But in the later years, they go back to being a tremendous amount of work.
Right.
And then you feel so darn sad when they go.
Yeah, that's why I said coming in. I said, look, I'm going to become really attached to this dog.
Oh, I know.
And you guys are going to just, look at the dog, and then it's going to be my dog. And I don't really want all of that. But it's been fabulous. But we've been lucky. We've been able to drop the dog off when we travel with family and things like that, and it's been fairly easy. But it is a ton of work. And we go to our friends and we're like, hey, do you want to go do something? Like, we got these dogs, and they're dogs everywhere. And so we are going to try and move into a dogless phase.
That's where we are.
Where it's easier to just go travel or go do something.
I'll give you a tip. It's wonderful.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. We're not even on the fence about this.
Yes, I know. Except for they're just, there's something about a dog. They're awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my dog is with me all the time, like all the time. It's when I do this, it drives her crazy. But
does she like to come? Well, she is welcome to join us.
Yeah, she's fine, except then all of a sudden, a squirrel will pop up and she'll be relentless.
Oh.
A lot of bark, no bite.
I love it. So coming up here, maybe chat with Dick for a little bit, and then go to Jeff.
Yeah, I'm gonna update the situation like we did at 5:30, and just bring people up to speed. And then if Dick says it's great, we'll roll to 11, and then go to that.
That's perfect.
See what happens.
All right, I will let you get prepared, and I'll be back.
All right.
That account lost 40% in 2008. So much for the fee. You really needed some good coaching there. If you were on the verge of retiring, it probably delayed your retirement a number of years. So you got to look past the fee. You got to look at the value you're actually receiving.
And coming up tonight at 7 p.m. on The Rich Paul Show, we'll be talking about grading our own financial competency as well as questions from the mailbag. So tune in for all that and more at 7 p.m. here on WJR on The Rich Paul Show.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Good morning. It is Monday, November the 9th, and here's where we stand right now. Joe Biden is the president-elect. He currently has 290 unofficial electoral votes, 74 million unofficial individual votes. He is 72 days from being sworn in as president. He is calling for unity, saying we are not red or blue states, we are the United States. He says he is going to plan to put together his transition team starting today, and that COVID will be a main theme. Kamala Harris is the vice president-elect, the first woman and the first woman of color. She says anything is possible in America. Donald Trump is your president. He currently has 214 unofficial electoral votes, 71 million unofficial individual votes. He says he has won this election, and he is planning to file new lawsuits in multiple states today. To stay in office, Donald Trump would have to probably flip 3 states through recounts or the courts. The key states to keep your eye on are Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and here in Michigan. In fact, the Senate is still up for grabs with runoffs in Georgia. So if Democrats were to win both of those runoffs, they would end up with the majority. However, candidates like John James right here in Michigan are being encouraged not to concede until after all of the court challenges have been resolved. Joining me now is Dick Hafner. Dick, I'm sure you've been watching all of this closely. We're trying to keep tabs on it and just put the information out there as it comes in. And I know that's going to keep changing day by day. I think we're going to learn a lot about election law and how the courts work. And I think we're all going to be kind of watching this together and reporting on it as it comes in.
Yeah, and confusion too, because who knows the intricacies of these election laws? We've never really seen them tested before. So a lot of new information will be coming out to people, and I think it'll be very hard to follow. Also, it takes time. You can't get court rulings immediately. They don't usually come quickly, and so I think we could be going through this for the next couple of weeks where President Trump doesn't concede. His supporters say, no, the election is not over. And on the other side, Biden gets ready to take office. Whoa, man.
Back in 2000, when Bush and Gore seemed to be tied, it took 36 days for the courts to work it out and come up with a winner. It may be longer than that this time around. I guess it depends on how these early cases go and what they're looking at. The big issue for me on the in-person voting was what happened in Michigan with the computers in Antrim, where they mistakenly gave Biden votes that were supposed to be for Trump, and they somehow got messed up, and the software, I guess, was used in 47 other counties.
Right.
And they caught that one and fixed that one, and I don't know if they've looked at all 47 counties or not, but I know the Republicans want an audit of all the computer systems in all the key states to see what they can discern from the information that's there.
Well, we'll see if that'll happen. At least in Antrim County, they caught it, but that was because Antrim County has so few voters. It's such a small rural area that when there's some sort of an abnormality, it's fairly easy to spot. When you're going into a large county, Wayne County, Oakland County, Kent County, where there are hundreds of thousands of votes cast, I don't know how easy it is to immediately spot some sort of a discrepancy. So maybe the only way to find out is through an audit. And this is one of these new things, Kevin. How long does an audit of these software systems take? I have no idea.
No, right. They'll want to do it in a hurry, but they'll want to get it right. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. And the bigger issue, of course, is these mail-in votes, more mail-in votes than ever before. The Republicans are upset that they didn't have enough observers to make sure there wasn't fraud. But I think there may also be some concern about the rules with mail-in votes. Were they changed? Were the time limits extended? Did they change because of COVID-19 emergencies? Is it legal to change the rules without the legislature making new laws? Can you just have direct orders from say the governor or the Secretary of State? Is that legal? Can some of these mail-in votes be invalidated? We're going to have to wait and watch, but these are the questions that are going to get asked in court.
Yep. And one of the complicating factors, Kevin, we all know that the states really run the election. The Federal Election Commission, the government doesn't run the election. And so every state has a different set of laws. We're talking about how long can a mail-in ballot come in before it's validated or invalidated? When does it have to be dated? When does it have to be in the hands of the postal, et cetera, et cetera? Every state has a different set of rules for this.
And multiple states are being contested, so it's going to be hard to keep an eye on all of this, but I think we're going to learn an awful lot. All right, Dick, thanks for jumping in here. We're going to jump to Business Beat now, and Jeff Sloan, founder and CEO of Startup Nation, to spotlight the entrepreneurial tech and startup community here on WJR.
Hear that sound? Most people think that's reindeer bells shaking, a harbinger of the holiday season ahead. But for entrepreneurs in the retail sector, that's the sound of cash registers ringing during what is arguably the most important time of the year for retailers. And the holiday shopping season is now right around the corner. So how is the holiday season shaping up? Well, given that for the first time ever, the majority of people will be shopping and buying online, according to the NPD's Group annual holiday purchase intention study, it's going to be free shipping as the single most important factor, even beating discounts and deals that'll drive consumer purchases this year. Consumers plan to spend an average of $691 this season, down only slightly from last year in spite of economic and other concerns relating to the COVID crisis. In fact, 29% of consumers say they plan to spend more this year because they aren't burdened with other expenses such as travel, dining out, etc. All in all, the holiday shopping season is shaping up to be a surprisingly good one for retailers. But remember, make sure you are in a position to sell online this year as a primary mode of sales, not secondary. This is the way it's going to be now, well into the future as we enter this new normal. So tune up that website so you have the fastest possible load times. Make sure you offer a variety of checkout options. And above all, like the NPD Group study shows, instead of competing on price by offering discounts which cut into your margins and hurt your bottom line, be prepared to offer free shipping as the lead incentive to make sure you make that sale, not your competition. I'm Jeff Sloan, founder and CEO of StartupNation.com, and that's today's Business Beat on the great voice of the Great Lakes, WJR.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Traffic First is sponsored by the Detroit VA Healthcare System veterans. The Detroit VA Healthcare System reminds you to not let COVID-19 postpone your healthcare needs. The Detroit VA is ready to care for you in their medical facilities and through online video visits. To learn more, visit detroit.va.gov. 15-minute delay across the Blue Water Bridge westbound between Canada and the U.S. That's just for trucks. Seeing a slow drive because of construction along 696 westbound. This is between Gratiot and Groesbeck. Your left two lanes are closed until 3 p.m. today. Seeing those brake lights from at least 94. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Musk Construction Careers. It's National Apprenticeship Week. Earn while you learn in a union apprenticeship and graduate debt-free. We need qualified, motivated individuals to help us build Michigan. Musk Construction Careers, Management, and Union serving together. Learn more at mustcareers.org.
Few clouds around this morning, but record heat really the story. Very mild to start and a warm finish. 73 is too shy of the record, but may get there with lots of sunshine around in the afternoon. Some clouds tonight, mild 58. Gusty breeze tomorrow, slight chance of a shower. More record heat possible, 77. Wednesday, clouds, sunshine, much cooler. Highs only in the low 50s, was actually where we should be this time of year. From a Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
At Beaumont, we're always ready for change. So when our community needs us, we create change to serve you even better. One person on the front line of that change is Kathleen Selecki, RN and Stroke Program Coordinator.
The pandemic has highlighted the importance of teamwork even more. Whether it's organizing supplies or performing tasks to help out in new or different roles, we continue to come together to put our patients and families at the center of everything we do.
At Beaumont, we know change is constant, but the only thing that won't change is our commitment to you.
What if I told you you could sell your home for top dollar and not pay a single dime in commissions? Introducing YouPraise Offers, the new app coming to your smartphone. With YouPraise Offers, it's as simple as you point, you click, you praise. Simply enter the address of your home. Tell us about your home improvements, snap a few photos, and within 24 hours, you'll have a cash offer from a ready, willing, and able buyer that can close in just 2 weeks. YouPraise Offers. That's UPRAZE. Find it now in your app store today.
What's the perfect gift for every guy this holiday season? Untucked shirts. They're the comfortable, easy-to-wear styles every guy loves. That's because Untucked shirts are designed to be worn untucked, so they help guys to look sharp and feel comfortable. Who wouldn't love to unwrap one of our iconic button-downs and best-selling fabrics like super soft flannel, wrinkle-free cotton, and performance with stretch? Use code SHIRT20 for 20% off your next purchase at any Untucked store or at untucked.com. Untucked. Shirts designed to be worn untucked.
Don't you love that feeling when you've just nailed your look? That's how it feels to use Stitch Fix, your personal styling service that delivers hand-picked clothes right to you. Stitch Fix is simple and convenient. Sign up in just a few minutes, And you can try out new styles right at home. And there's no subscription required ever. So, isn't it time you started nailing your look? Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, personal styling for everybody.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
We've been talking about the elections. The key states include Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin. We're going to see recounts. We're going to see lawsuits. Let's get into it with our next guest, John Pirich, MSU law professor and retired elections attorney. John, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So as you watched this unfold and you saw how close this was going to be, did you immediately recognize that this thing's going to go to the courts?
Well, I don't know what's going to go to the courts because all that I've heard is unfounded allegations and misinformation with regard to the actual process. Do I think there are going to be some recounts in 2 or 3 jurisdictions? The answer is yes. Do I think they're going to have any impact on the outcome of the election? The answer is no.
So we heard the president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, speak, and he talked about some issues that he wants resolved. And their allegations, we'll have to see what proof there is. We do know there's affidavits, sworn affidavits from witnesses who say they saw things. One of those things is that observers were allegedly not allowed to get a good look at mail-in ballots. When you hear Rudy Giuliani talk about that, or the Republican Party or the president talk about that, is that a real issue? Do they have the right to do that?
Well, number one, at least in states like Michigan, there are standards, both legal and administrative, with regard to challengers. All of the challenger requirements were met in Michigan, as far as I know. There were permitted challengers from both political parties who were able to observe the proceedings. But the difference from poll watchers are people who are not authorized as challengers. These are people who just stand around and get to watch the process. That's part of the transparency process. Those people have absolutely no input into the process. They cannot challenge votes. And again, the lawsuit that was filed last week that was quickly dismissed by the Michigan Court of Claims talked about meaningful oversight or meaningful observation. And of course, the Michigan Court of Claims dismissed that case because, number one, the count was complete, and number two, there was absolutely no evidence that the actual challengers had in any way, shape, or form not been permitted to observe the process.
And so if somebody gives a sworn affidavit to something they saw, that doesn't necessarily mean that there was fraud or that the courts need to intervene.
No, that's for sure. I tell you, I did recounts starting back in 1972, and there are all kinds of things that people thought they saw and believed that occurred. But the reality is just someone filing an affidavit in a lawsuit does not turn out to be proof. And typically when people are examined, you'll find out what actually were the facts in a particular situation. So I would not be concerned about someone filing an affidavit saying this happened or that happened. It's much like the Antrim County situation in Michigan, where there were all kinds of allegations of impropriety. And of course, once the evidence was looked at, it's very clear that there was a tabulation error between a software system, and the reality was that the right outcome, in fact, had been documented, and it was ultimately reported, as would have occurred with the county canvass anyway. That's what canvasses are about, to find any of those kinds of glitches or errors that occur in tabulation. But I have full confidence in the outcome of the election, both in Michigan and nationwide.
You said that you've been following recounts, so it looks like there's going to be a couple of recounts. They've asked for one in Wisconsin, perhaps Georgia, maybe others. How often does the vote count dramatically vary after a recount?
Well, it doesn't. And the reality is it's pure and simple math. There may be a change at a precinct for a candidate up one vote. In the next precinct, there may be a change for the other candidate up one vote. In the 2016 recount in Michigan for the presidential race, I believe 2 million votes were recounted when the recount was officially stopped. And I think it was like 40 or 50 total votes that changed out of 2 million votes. So in Michigan, at least, with 145,000 plurality for the president-elect, and for the United States senator, I think it's about 80,000. The mathematical likelihood of there being any change is probably below zero.
Another issue that Rudy Giuliani brought up was backdated votes allegedly allowed to count. Obviously we won't know until we look at this, but again, this came from witnesses who said that they saw them, put in with other ballots. How serious or how big of a number might that be of
number one? Yeah, I was going to say I know of absolutely no evidence that has been presented or that will be presented to substantiate those kinds of allegations. Number one. Number two, it depends on what actually happens, but the reality is these are just allegations that people put out after elections. It's not new. It's not novel. The reality is people say things and see things that they want to at a particular point in time.
They talk about dead people voting. They've been talking about dead people voting for as long as I can remember. I imagine they may find some dead people voted, but they're not going to find the numbers that they need to overturn individual states, let alone multiple states.
No, that's for sure. And these allegations of dead people voting, I mean, there may be some people who voted early voting or absentee voting who died before Election Day, but that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about people who are either cremated or buried and theoretically have come up from the ground or from the air and have voted again. That just doesn't happen. That is a non sequitur, and there's absolutely no evidence of any of that happening.
So it seems like the main concern is with these mail-in votes. That's obviously Biden had a huge lead and advantage in the mail-in votes that came back. Is there any legal challenge that can be made about how the rules were designed for the mail-in vote this time around because of COVID? Is it the legislators' job to make the laws, the election laws, and if those rules are changed by someone else because of an emergency like the pandemic, is there some sort of legal argument to be made there?
No, I think there's no legal argument per se. In Michigan, we're fortunate. We amended our Constitution to allow early voting for anyone. We've always had absentee voting based upon age or based upon the fact that you may not be in the jurisdiction. But we the people, amended the Constitution to say that anyone who wanted the right to vote early could do so. And that's a major change in our jurisdiction, and it's a change that's occurring across the country. There are, I think, 6 or 7 jurisdictions now who have exclusively all mail-in elections. For instance, state of Washington. The only way you can vote in the state of Washington is have a ballot mailed to your home. You fill it out. You deposit it either in the postal service or you take it to the clerk or put it in a secure box at the clerk's office or other repositories. So that's the wave of the future, number one. Number two, the virus certainly would have complicated this with social distancing lines at voting places if you kept the 6 feet distance in place. But the reality is the number of people who voted early in Michigan was one of the reasons that we did not have incredibly long lines that otherwise would have occurred. So, no, I think this is the wave of the future.
These issues are state issues. Do you see, early on, Donald Trump said he wanted to go to the Supreme Court. Do you see any issues for the Supreme Court to take up as it pertains to the election?
I haven't the faintest idea what kind of lawsuits might be filed in the federal system. The reality is most of these are state court issues, and I do not know of any impropriety that's been shown in the process or the proceedings to date. And we're going through the normal process. You finish counting all the ballots, which everyone always will do. We don't have final tabulations on election night or the morning thereafter. It takes time to finish some of these other issues. They'll be certified by the county boards. It'll go to the State Board of Canvassers in each one of the jurisdictions, which are politically, in Michigan's a good example, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans on every county board of canvassers and on the State Board of Canvassers. And then they will act and certify the results of the election based upon the numbers.
Do you think that by looking at the going to court on these things, that it will actually improve the elections and will improve the systems that are in place? Or are we as good as we could possibly be?
Well, no system is perfect, number one. Number two, are there things that might be done in the future that would allay some of the concerns of some people? There may well be some, but I think the reality is the vote total will be vindicated and the system will be vindicated without any difficulty.
All right. John Pirich, MSU law professor and retired elections attorney. Thank you for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Have a great day, Kevin. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. You too. Let's check traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Traffic First, also sponsored by the Michigan Building and Construction Trades Council. It's National Apprenticeship Week. Earn while you learn with a union construction skilled trades apprenticeship. Graduate debt-free and build a lifelong career. Learn more at michiganbuildingtrades.org. Also sponsored by the Construction Association of Michigan. CAM has been helping commercial and industrial contractors and suppliers grow since 1885. Now is the time to join. Join the most powerful network of construction professionals in the state, the Construction Association of Michigan. Join today. Get listed in the 2021 Construction Buyer's Guide. Learn more at buildwithcam.com. That's buildwithcam.com. 696 westbound between Gratiot and Groesbeck. Construction has 2 lanes closed until 3 p.m. today, seeing brake lights from 94. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Reamer Floors. The latest in waterproof flooring technology is on sale now at Reamer Floors. Save 30% on Empower by Armstrong flooring, featuring a reinforced mineral core and superior scratch resistance. Visit reamerfloors.com to schedule your shop at home or in-store appointment. Mostly sunny skies, currently 50 degrees, going up to a nice, comfortable 71 today. Tonight, a few passing clouds, your low 58. Temps remain warm, even warmer on Tuesday. Some clouds, some sun. Could see a slight chance of a rain shower and a high of 76. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 1 minute.
When you're diagnosed with something as serious as cancer, you can feel alone. That's why at the Henry Ford Cancer Institute, we're all for being at your side to guide you through every step of your journey. And we're all for doing it with an entire team specializing in your cancer, united to fight with you. From the first meeting, your team works as one to create a plan that's unique to you with the most advanced treatments available, because we're all for innovation through collaboration, especially when it brings the best doctors and technology together. We know the importance of personalized care and a team that understands what you're going through. That's why the Henry Ford Cancer Institute is all for delivering both, virtually or in person, in locations throughout Southeast and South Central Michigan. Henry Ford Health System, all for you. Learn more about our team-based approach to care at henryford.com.
I just sent you a couple of pieces of information, Kev, for the next half hour. The little write-up for Ryan, but you obviously know you can talk to him about anything election-oriented. And then the press release from Pope Francis Center.
Okay.
Jim Vella. So we have that. And I think we're good to go. What did you think of John's comments?
Oh, good.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to hear from someone who's been in there. And I think it's true that
kind of what you thought.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that when you do a recount, it typically is, there's something here, something there, but not much change. And so you got to get into the issues, and there's just so many. There's such a large separation in most of these states, and he would need so many states to flip that, to me, it just seems there's going to have to be some sort of federal ruling. For people who support Trump and think he can win in court, I think it's got to be some sort of federal ruling that the Supreme Court rules across the board impact something to do with these mail-in votes, not individual complaints in each state, because it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to find them.
Right.
But we'll see. That's why they go to court.
Right. Exactly. It would be interesting, because I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that the federal courts would shy away from that, in the sense, because it is such a state's decision. But I do think that down the road, this kind of a review could make the mail-in voting process better, more streamlined. I mean, I think that this could be good for the future, but I just think that right now, I don't see the federal courts getting into this unless there's a really big issue that we're missing at the moment.
Yeah, they did. The U.S. Supreme Court did get involved in Florida, but it was 560 votes, in just one state, and they decided. I believe, if I remember correctly, they said you can't just do recounts in these areas; you have to recount everywhere, and then they decided to shut it down at one point. And this is multiple states, multiple issues, but you don't look. You don't know, and that was the thing about Florida, is like you kept thinking, oh, this is a done deal, and then all of a sudden go to a different court and you get a different ruling from a different judge, and then in another county there'd be another issue brought up that, well, maybe this is. But again, back then it was about one state, Florida. Here you'd almost have to have these issues come up in Pennsylvania, flip Pennsylvania, flip Arizona, flip Georgia, flip Michigan, Wisconsin. It's a lot to think of, knowing what we went through in Florida. And that's why I just keep coming back to this idea that if something were to happen, it would be some sort of universal decision brought by the Supreme Court that said all the states have to do something this way that drastically changed everything. And I've not heard any arguments at all for any, that would lead to that. But I just don't. It's hard to see how it would work individually, state by state, coming back from these deficits.
I do still go back to this idea, though. I do completely agree with if there are concerns that they need to be explored and they need to play out, because it's just better for the country that way. Like this is a good process. I know that a lot of people don't necessarily agree with that, and I take myself out of it politically. It doesn't matter how you feel politically. I think you as an American should say, this is fine. This is a good process, and this is what we do in America.
Yeah. Like I said, I just think, I think anytime you can shine a light on something is good, because you find out ways to do it better. There's no way that these challenges won't make the system better moving forward. And if you don't have challenges, then you go on, and then you'll find them some other time in the future, when there's a close race. So if you can, you take some time and, make sure we got it right and improve the system, make the system as good as possible, and just kind of keep moving. But it's more interesting to see how Donald Trump reacts. Early on, it seemed like he was pretty steadfast that we're going to win this thing, and I don't know if he's changed at all, if he's come off that at all. So maybe he knows something we don't know.
Yeah, Ryan is coming up next. He'll probably be able to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So I will be back in a while.
All right.
VictorsRoofing.com. Whether it's 2 a.m. on the weekend or you just need a second opinion, Blue Cross is here with more ways to help you access the care you need. You can call our 24-hour nurse line with any questions during those early mornings, or schedule a virtual doctor visit to get that second opinion. Anytime, anywhere, we are here for it all, and always will be. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card. To learn more, visit hereforitall.com.
Hey, Michigan, online sports betting is almost here. But wait, if you register your account early with FanDuel Sportsbook, you'll get $100 in free bets once they go live. No deposit required. Just sign up and verify your account and you're all set. $100 in free bets just for signing up early. No deposit required. No strings attached. You see for yourself why FanDuel Sportsbook is America's #1 sports betting app. Easy to use, tons of betting markets, safe and secure, fast payouts. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/100free to claim your $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when you visit FanDuel.com/100free.
Must be 21 and over and present in Michigan. Bonus issued a non-withdrawable site credit that expires 7 days after FanDuel goes live in Michigan. $100 is distributed as $50 site credit on each of Sportsbook and Casino. Unique user ID verification required. Offer ends on go live day. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Joe Biden currently has 290 unofficial electoral votes. Donald Trump currently has 214 unofficial electoral votes. It takes 270 to win. Donald Trump has said he won this election and he will prove it in court. Our next guest, Ryan Casson, is a political strategist and CEO of Beast Digital, and he joins us now on the Paul W. Smith Show. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Good morning.
The president thinks he won. He says he does. He said it in all caps on Twitter, and he says that he's going to go to court in multiple states, and that when the dust settles, he will still be the president. You don't agree with that, I believe, right? But you also seem to think that maybe this is just an exit strategy.
Well, we'll see, right? So, there's certainly the possibility that the Trump campaign has identified widespread systematic fraud, dead people voting, late votes that shouldn't be counted, problems with so-called cured ballots. And if that's the case, then that will be worked out through the court system, right? And I think we need to be patient. This is the week, though, where the president's campaign goes into show, not tell mode. And so far, it's only been telling us what the problems are. Now they need to show in court what the issues are. I think, we'll see if that's the case. It took upwards of 40 days for us to get President-elect George W. Bush in 2000 with the court cases in Florida. So we have plenty of time, and I think, patience is an important piece of this.
There were some early lawsuits filed immediately with mixed results. Many are not going forward. Some were. Do you believe that today, when the president said on Monday we're going to present new lawsuits, will these be different, more well thought out lawsuits that include the evidence that the Republicans claim exists?
Well, yeah, they'll certainly need to be more detailed at the minimum. And, my expectation is that the Trump campaign has been working overtime over the weekend to put together their case in the various jurisdictions where they'll be filing lawsuits. They have had some victories, for instance, in Pennsylvania, where they were able to get a judge to allow them to get closer access to poll watching, and from a far distance to a socially distanced 6 feet away, which was sort of a procedural win, but ultimately didn't change the vote count or the lead that President-elect Biden has over Trump. In Michigan, some of the cases have been a little bit less successful. So, for instance, there was a case that a sticky note said that there was problems in how absentee votes were being counted. That was passed to the Trump campaign, allegedly from somebody connected to the process, but the judge threw that out as hearsay. And so we're going to need to see more than sticky notes for the Trump campaign to overcome its, 100,000 plus vote deficit in these key swing states that will decide the election.
Rudy Giuliani, one of the lawyers for the president, said that in Pennsylvania, there were 60 to 70 witnesses accounting for 800,000 votes that he says could be ruled invalid. How do you think he gets to those kinds of numbers?
Well, I mean, if he has 60 to 70 people who are coming forward and will, support with evidence the claim that that something systematically has gone wrong, which again, if they have those kinds of numbers, that would certainly speak to the possibility, at least, of something systematic happening. But again, I mean, that would be such a departure from typically how elections work in this country. Now, that's not to say it couldn't happen, but it would truly be shocking to see those kinds of numbers and that level of coordination, in trying to steal this election. We'll see again in court if that's possible. I think one of the challenges that the Trump campaign has, frankly, here is that now the Biden transition team is moving forward. They're announcing their COVID task force today. They're going to begin making cabinet appointments and other agency review process. They're going to be generating a lot of news. Last week we were held in suspense, waiting for the result, but now they're going to start making a lot of news, start actually making progress in this transition. And that's going to suck the oxygen out of the air for some of these legal battles unless something explosive is found. So today's a really important day for the Trump campaign's effort.
Well, it doesn't really matter what the media does. It doesn't really matter what Joe Biden does. It really matters what happens in the courtroom and what evidence takes place there. When I listen to Rudy Giuliani and he talks about dead people allegedly voting, they're not going to find massive numbers of dead people who voted, not enough to change the outcomes in any of these states. The same when he talks about people who voted, but eventually their vote wasn't counted. They were turned away somehow, or people were given Sharpie pens that didn't tabulate their vote, or even the backdated votes. That might be closer when you talk about when did the votes come in and should they be accounted for. But most people who follow this say there's not 800,000 backdated votes in Pennsylvania. So I just wonder, do you think they're aiming at something more systemic, like you're talking about, some way to somehow invalidate large numbers of mail-in votes?
Well, to be successful, they have to have something systemic. It has to be a large-scale, one or two big decisions that significantly changes the votes that are counted. You're absolutely right. Nothing that I have seen or heard, points to these late arriving ballots as being in significant enough numbers that it could potentially change the outcome in Pennsylvania. So, their electoral college path going into election night was basically very narrow, and they had to win every one of those competitive races. That didn't happen. The legal battles and the wins that they have to have in court, even more narrow yet further.
All right, we're going to keep a close eye on it, Ryan. Thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show. Please come back and update us in a couple of days as we see where this takes us.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break and check on traffic and weather with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Traffic First, sponsored by Marathon. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. Seeing construction delays along 696 westbound between Gratiot and Groesbeck. Left 2 lanes are closed until 3 p.m. today. Traffic a slow ride from 94. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Shelving.com. With 60 years of experience, Shelving.com knows what products are key to a successful business today and Tuesday only. Shop select business essentials like rivet shelving and storage bins. Save 11% with code Essential11. That's 11% off with code Essential11. Shelving.com. We rack your world.
Little cloud early, otherwise sunshine and near record heat in the forecast today. Forecast high of 73. A few clouds tonight, 58. Partial clouds tomorrow, very warm, maybe record heat once again with a chance of a shower. And a gusty breeze, 77. Much cooler Wednesday. Cloud sunshine, 53. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
Tune into The Rich Paul Show Saturdays at 9 a.m., Mondays at 7 p.m. This week on the show, grading our financial competency and election limbo. So tune in 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 7 p.m. on Mondays on The Rich Paul Show here on WJR.
The need has always been there. The need for food, shelter, clothing, compassion. This year it just happens to be greater. If you need help, please reach out. If you can give help, please reach within. In a year with fewer red kettles, your $25 monthly donation to the Salvation Army of Metro Detroit helps rescue Christmas for the most vulnerable. Enlist in Love's Army at sellmish.org. Again, that's sellmish.org.
Shopping for a home in today's market can be exhausting. Viewing homes and getting your offers rejected can get annoying. Now there's an easy way to shop for a home without the stress of having to sell yours first. Introducing YouPraise Offers. Enjoy the convenience of shopping for a home, knowing that you have a cash offer waiting for you once you find your dream home. It's just that easy. Save time, save hassle, and home shop with the help of YouPraise. You point, you click, YouPraise. YouPraise Offers. That's UPRAZE. Find it in your app store today.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it time for open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For the typical family, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. Think what you could do with that. But if you join right now, MediShare is waiving their new member fee. So that's another $170 you'll save. And MediShare is really different. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills. More than 400,000 people are members, and they've shared over $4 billion in medical bills. So yes, they can handle your bills too. This may be the time to make the switch. Join before November 30th for the additional savings. It's so easy to find out more. They're great to talk to. In fact, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
At Beaumont, we're always ready for change. So when our community needs us, we create change to serve you even better. One person on the front line of that change is Tim Nicase, nurse practitioner.
This year has left a lot of our patients feeling incredibly vulnerable. We take time to be open, honest, and available, like keeping my pager on 24/7 for families to have someone to reach out to for support.
At Beaumont, we know change is constant, but the only thing that won't change is our commitment to you.
Are you worried if this is the right time of year to sell your home? Now is the time to call Michael Perna. Judy had just lost her husband. She was looking to downsize by selling her home in Farmington Hills. She spoke with Michael and shared how difficult it was to part with the home she built with her husband. Michael's compassion and his attention to Judy's needs made all the difference. Michael wanted her to get the most money possible, so he implemented a market strategy that really worked. 2 days after listing, there were 9 offers, and Judy's home sold for $10,000 over the asking price. So now she could purchase the condo she wanted. Michael Perna with Keller Williams Realty guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or he will buy it. I know Michael Perna, and I know he is someone you can trust to get your home sold quickly and for top dollar. Michael Perna and his team sell homes in 1/3 the time of the market average, an incredible average of just 17 days. So do yourself a favor. Call Michael Perna, 844-737-6276, or go online at thepernateam.com and start packing.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
COVID-19 has been a real problem for charities looking for donations. Many are way down this year, and that is especially troubling for the homeless, who, when the weather turns cold, are completely dependent of the generosity of others. Well, today we have some fantastic news to share with you, and rather than me tell you about it, let's bring on our guest, Father Tim McCabe, the director of the Pope Francis Center. Welcome to the show, Father.
Good morning, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and the weather's been absolutely beautiful, and it's going to stay beautiful for a couple of more days. But we all know here in Michigan, the weather is going to turn on us, and when it does, it happens quickly, and it sticks around here for a long time. The homeless problem in Metro Detroit is big. Over 30,000 homeless people, I believe, last time I looked into it. And you guys are trying to help out, and you have some good news to share today.
Yeah, Kevin, in the middle of a global pandemic, it's especially critical that everyone has a safe place to go. And when the pandemic hit Detroit, we had to move our operations out into the parking lot under tents so that people could socially distance. And we realized that it wasn't tenable for the winter months. So we have partnered with the TCF Center and the city to move our operations to the lower level of TCF Cobo Hall, formerly Cobo Hall, to operate during the winter months. So we'll be able to have a space where we can keep serving our guests food, laundry, showers, those types of services that we provide in a large open space where people can socially distance and receive their food and eat and have a safe, warm place to be.
Well, that's fantastic. That's exactly what you need when you have the concerns that COVID brings with it is space. And how did it come about that you guys were able to secure the TCF Center?
We had looked at a number of options and weren't able to find any place large enough to kind of help us facilitate what we're doing. And we just went down to TCF and talked to the staff there, and they have just been extremely accommodating and really willing to be in there helping us out in any way that they can. So we started discussing how it might work, and there is a space in the center where we're on a separate ventilation system, a separate entrance that will keep us safe and keep everybody else safe in the building as we go through these winter months. So they've been phenomenal to work with, really.
And what are some of the challenges that you faced when COVID first hit that kind of raised the red flag that said, okay, it's March now and it's pretty chilly, but if this COVID is still around come next winter, we really have to make some changes.
Yeah, it's for so much of the time that the pandemic has hit, it's kind of a day-to-day thing. We're receiving new information all the time about what's necessary to keep people safe and where we need to be. And once we closed, we knew that we couldn't serve indoors because of our limited space capacity. We moved out into the parking lot, and then we brought in a shower trailer. Didn't even know that existed, but we got one set up in the parking lot so that people could continue to take showers and facilitating laundry, things like that. So we continue to look for ways. It was always my top priority was to keep everybody safe, right? The staff, the volunteers, and our guests, and so that was always the way in which. But we knew that we would never stop serving, and I made a promise to our guests that we wouldn't stop serving and being with them. We would just figure out a way to do that. So this TCF Center has just been an answer to my prayers because looking towards the winter, I knew that we were going to be in trouble if we didn't have some place to go indoors.
And for people who don't know, about Pope Francis Center, I mean, you provide hundreds of meals, place to shower, medical, dental, legal clinics, all of these things that are typically unavailable to the homeless. Have you had similar problems that other charitable organizations have had in finding donations? Have donations been down? And if not, if they are for other places, what do you see the picture with the homeless population coming up this winter? Is this going to be one of the toughest winters to help the homeless in a long time?
It may be, Kevin. Detroit is one of the most generous places in the country. And when I let people know that we were moving out into the parking lot and we're going to get into higher expenses because of that, people responded. But this move to the TCF Center is going to cost us about $500,000, about $500,000 for the winter months. And while that's at cost, TCF is not making any money on this deal. It's still a substantial amount for a small nonprofit. So we're hopeful that we're launching a campaign called Sanctuary for the Season. And we're hoping that people will respond as they have in the past and help us get through the winter months with the homeless.
How do you get the word out to the people who need the services, where to find them, that they need to get over to the TCF Center?
Well, we've begun telling people that, on a daily basis as they come to us for meals and for medical and the different services that we provide. And we continue. So we'll let people know. And they have their own, little social network that they, let people know. And we'll continue to, and once we make the move, we'll make sure that there's signs posted so that people know where to go.
And so people listening, generous listeners out there at WJR, how can they help in this cause? How can they help you? How do they contact you? Do you guys actually have people who you need to come give their time? Do you need their money? Do you need their prayers? What do you need at this time?
All of the above, Kevin. If people wanted to make a donation, they can always go to our website. That's the easiest way to do that at www.popefranciscenter.org. That's popefranciscenter.org. They can mail a check to the Pope Francis Center. We need volunteers. If you go to our website, we have a volunteer page where you can learn how to volunteer and sign up on our calendar. So all of those things, and prayers, of course, you name. We need a lot of prayers as we all do during this global pandemic, to keep everybody safe.
Absolutely. Sanctuary for the Season, Pope Francis Center moving to TCF Center temporarily. Father Tim McCabe, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you, Kevin. God bless.
God bless you too. We will be right back with more. Let's check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by SafeExcavator.com. Call or click 811 before you dig. There's a lot of stuff underground you can't see, and every few minutes somebody digs into a line, pipe, cable, or wire. Don't be that person. Call or click 811 before you dig and visit SafeExcavator.com.
Traffic First also sponsored by McLaren Health Plan. McLaren Health Plan is helping families stay healthy with coverage for virtual doctor visits, flu shots, and access to over 140 hospitals in Michigan. McLaren Health Plan, the right plan for right now. Learn more at mclarenhealthplan.org. Just watching those construction delays, but actually more brake lights.
Hey, Kev.
Yeah.
Big news coming in here this morning from Pfizer. I just sent you the story, but the market is reacting. The futures are just skyrocketing. It says drug maker Pfizer has announced this morning that an early analysis of its coronavirus vaccine trial suggested the vaccine was robustly effective in preventing COVID-19, a promising development, and they say effective more than 90% effective.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, however,
Does it
is...
say when it's coming?
Well, that's a good question. They're asking the FDA for emergency authorization. It's a 2-dose vaccine for later this month. However, if you read further into the story, the one I sent you coming out of the New York Times is, I still think it needs a fair amount of testing, but they think the part 2 or 3 of the testing can be done by the end of this month. But this is a pretty big story.
Wow.
Yeah. The scientists are apparently stunned by this data, especially this 90% effective, because most vaccines, as you know, about 55% effective in the 50s, like the flu. So if this was 90% effective, holy moly, it could be a really big story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this came about via the stock market.
Well, I just happened to notice that the futures were skyrocketing, and then all of a sudden I looked down and it said due to announcement this morning from Pfizer.
Wow.
So the market seems to the market's interested.
Yeah, I bet.
It says Pfizer, which developed a vaccine with the German drug maker BioNTech, released only sparse details from its clinical trial based on the first formal review of the data by an outside panel of experts. More than 90% effective. If the results hold up, that level of protection would put it on par with highly effective childhood vaccines for diseases such as the measles. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Let's see here what else I see. So there's 11
enough doses for 15 to 20 million people.
And we need a lot more than that. But it's a start.
It's
a start. Never mind. I won't be negative. So Brian Zara, he's still a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
Is he retiring or is he's...
No, he's staying.
He's staying.
They got new McCormick and Welch are coming
on.
McCormick's
And Brian stays. Okay,
He
so
does.
I thought for some reason, I thought he had retired. But he's still on. Oh, it's great that he's willing to talk about this morning.
Yeah, well, he's not willing to talk about the lawsuits.
So he's only going to
election
give you an overview.
He's going to tell us how it works and all of that.
Great.
So it'll be tricky. It'll be a tricky interview to not talk about the election cases or Michigan election cases. We'll see where.
But I like the explanation, so people.
For sure, no, because it's confusing.
Yeah,
I follow it all the time, and it's very confusing.
Okay, so you've got Rachel at 8:05, then Brian, then Dan, and then Mel toward the end. Oh, you got a tough football half hour coming up.
we got we got State and the Lions.
Yeah.
We'll shot a positive. We'll get pandemic.
Pandemic is good. Yeah. So we'll probably have to. I'm going to try to find somebody tomorrow who can analyze this data coming out from Pfizer today. Yeah. Probably if I could find Dr. Matthew Sims. From Pfizer, he might be the most. Well, he'd be a good one to take a peek at this and tell us what he thinks. If you've got anybody else you think would be who's looking at this data.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, I'm just looking here to see what else. That the other thing it says is the trial is expected to continue until 164 people in the 44,000 person trial have developed COVID. And then they're going to look at how well it protects against getting the severe forms of the disease. So that's another interesting thing. It may not totally protect you, but it might, but kind of like a flu vaccine. They say many of the flu vaccines, you won't get it as seriously.
Right.
Yeah. Very interesting. Although, are you going to be the first one to get in line?
I may change my mind. I may get in line. I wasn't in a hurry before, but
Are you suffering from pandemic fatigue?
Well, I just think it'll give me more freedom to feel like I can go out and do more things and say, hey, I've done what I can. I've taken the vaccine. Let me get out there.
Let me out. Well, and we can be with our parents.
Right.
You know, that's the other thing. But I'm wondering if this first batch will go to probably frontline workers.
Oh yeah. That's,
and maybe seniors.
I won't be in that big of a hurry. I probably won't stand in line. But if I accidentally bump into a needle,
does the whole family feel that way? Like
I think so. Yeah. Although I don't think anybody's gotten a flu shot yet this year, so we just we might say we're going to do it, but it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I know. Life gets in the way.
Right.
That's the issue. Okay, I will let you chat with Rachel. I'll be back. You have everything you need?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. I'll be back.
Thanks.
And 77 points so far on the Dow. That's on the strength of the Pfizer news about their vaccine for coronavirus. I'm Dick Hafner, WJR News. More coming up with Kevin Dietz.
This is your chance to win $100 and be entered to win the grand prize of $25,000. Just text the national keyword BUCKS to 95819. That's BUCKS to 95819. Do it now. We'll text you back to confirm your entry. Data and messaging rates may apply. It's the $25,000 workday payday on 760 WJR.
For 60 years, Mesa has delivered exceptional health benefits to Michigan schools and public employees. Mesa believes hardworking people who care for our kids, schools, and communities deserve unmatched health benefits and personal service. Learn more at messa.org. It's National Apprenticeship Week. Must Construction Careers provides connectivity to union trades apprenticeships and construction career exploration. The construction industry is growing. We're looking for qualified, hardworking men and women to build the future of Michigan. Earn while you learn and graduate debt-free. Must Construction Careers. Management and unions serving together. Learn more at mustcareers.org.
Our energy grid. It powers the present and fuels the future. That's why DTE is working every day, planning and building the grid of tomorrow, investing in infrastructure that's stronger and more resilient, using advanced technologies to make it smarter and more responsive, so you can have reliable, affordable energy where you need it, when you need it. Learn more at dteenergy.com. DTE. There is nothing more beautiful than a tree. Unless, of course, it's fallen on your power lines. Fallen trees are responsible for nearly 70% of the time DTE customers are without power. So DTE is stepping up efforts to trim overgrown trees to keep you safe and the electric grid reliable. And it works. Where we've completed tree trimming, customers have had 60% fewer outages. Learn more at dteenergy.com/treecare. DTE.
WJR and the Chilani Family Foundation have launched Hunger Free in the D, a 3-week matching gift campaign to support the Capuchin Soup Kitchen and Gleaners Community Food Bank. Our goal is to provide 500,000 meals to struggling families during the holidays. And now the Chilani Family Foundation will match up to $200,000.
Now, as we prepare for Thanksgiving, let's help Gleaners and the Capuchin Soup Kitchen make a difference for those less fortunate. This is Dario Bergamo, proud supporter of Hunger Free in the D.
Without business leaders in the community, we really would not be able to continue what we do.
Chilani Family Foundation's Tom Chilani.
The partnership between Capuchins and Gleaners is very strong. They help out a lot of people, and I felt it was good that Vicki and I and our foundation get behind the two of them.
Give now. Go to hungerfreeinthed.com or call 313-254-4788. That's hungerfreeinthed.com or call 313-254-4788.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Some really interesting news developing, and WJR will be following this throughout the day. Pfizer stuns experts with early data that vaccine is more than 90% effective. Pfizer announced the positive early results from its coronavirus vaccine trial. This is interesting. It's a 2-dose vaccine, and they say by the end of the year it will have manufactured enough doses to immunize 15 to 20 million people. What's so interesting is that they say it's going to be 90% effective. The flu shot is about 50% effective. Very, very interesting story. And I know Dick Hafner is going to be following that throughout the day. So stay tuned to that. The other big story of the day is the election. Of course, Joe Biden currently has 290 unofficial electoral votes, 74 million unofficial individual votes. Donald Trump currently has 214 unofficial electoral votes, 71 million unofficial individual votes. He is going to court. He says he plans to win. He will prove his case in court. The key states: Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania. Following all of this for us is Rachel Sutherland, our Fox correspondent and WJR correspondent. Rachel, how you doing?
I'm great. It's a beautiful Monday morning here in the Washington area. We've got great weather. I think that contributed to some of the people just taking to the streets outside the White House over the weekend.
Yeah, we certainly saw a lot of people hit the streets in multiple cities, and the weather's been pretty good in a lot of places. As you watched it kind of unfold, did it unfold as you expected it would?
Well, I was not making any predictions except that it would unfold in a lengthy kind of way. I felt in my gut from the very beginning that this would be a long haul. And it appears it's not completely over as far as President Trump is concerned. He's launching more lawsuits today. Some of them may not hold any water. We'll have to see what they produce as evidence. I think one of the key ones is going to be Pennsylvania. And the rules there that allowed counting of ballots that came in 3 days after Election Day to count. That was something that they came up with in the legislature. It went up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court declined to intervene at the time, essentially letting a lower court ruling stand. So what the Trump campaign would do is go to the Supreme Court and say these ballots that came in after Election Day should not count. I don't know how that would turn out. And would it affect the actual tallies there in Pennsylvania? The rest of the lawsuits, I'm not so sure about. For example, and I just reported this on top of the hour in Nevada, they're claiming they found 3,000 voters that were from out of state that voted. But you got to figure in college students, for one, that are allowed to vote, and because that's their permanent home of residence. Military members, okay? And this is a group of people that the president doesn't want to disenfranchise. We've gone through it here at Fox News. Looked at some of these addresses, and they are military addresses. So you don't want to those are legal ballots. So some of the lawsuits may have some teeth to them. Others of them are fraught not only with legal complications, but political complications.
And, some of the legal arguments address numbers of instances that are so small that they likely wouldn't make any difference in the particular state they've been filed in. But I want to go back to Pennsylvania for a second. Rudy Giuliani had said that he had 60 to 70 witnesses in Pennsylvania, and what they witnessed and what they gave sworn affidavits to could account for as many as 800,000 votes ending up being invalid. Have you followed that to see where he finds those 800,000 votes? Is there some systematic process that he has identified that is going to wipe out a huge number of votes? Or is he saying that these small different ideas of dead people and backdated votes and these instances are going to add up to 800,000 votes?
I don't, I wish I had an answer for you. I've seen Rudy Giuliani's claims. I don't know if they have any merit. That kind of number, boy, it would have to be something really that went wrong in Pennsylvania. And so far, I saw the news conference they held in Pennsylvania over the weekend, and he was saying that he has people there willing to do sworn affidavits and come into court, but he wouldn't name anybody because these people are scared. Look, at some point, they're going to have to start really coughing up the evidence because the other side is saying, look, you're throwing our elections into discredit and disinformation and possible disinformation. And that's our bedrock of democracy, is a peaceful transition of power. Now, we understand that President Trump, he's got the right and absolute, he would view it as a responsibility to look at all of this. He's entitled to recounts in certain states. He's entitled to file all the lawsuits he wants. And in the end, if say Joe Biden comes out on the other side and is seated in January, it might actually benefit him to have all of these lawsuits, have it all shaken out. So there's nothing hanging over anything. So that's where it stands right now.
Yeah, and we're going to watch Michigan too, because Giuliani said the same things that happened in Pennsylvania happened in Michigan, and that in his opinion there were enough votes to turn that, and it was not nearly as close in Michigan. So we'll have to see. But I agree. I think it's going to have to be some massive systematic thing that would wipe out a lot of votes, and not some of these specific instances of fraud. Keep an eye on it for us, Rachel, and we'll be checking back with you as this unfolds. Very interesting. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break and be back with much more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Right now, let's check traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Fever is the leading sign of COVID-19. Use an accurate thermometer for twice daily checks. Protect your loved ones with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It takes an accurate reading in seconds and is the only home thermometer recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
M53 southbound at 23 Mile Road. Accident has you delayed from at least a 26 Mile Road. Traffic first sponsored by Ryba's Fudge Shop. Make Ryba's your one-stop shop for all your business and corporate gifts. Appreciate, thank, and impress your clients, employees, colleagues, vendors, and loved ones with a gift box of creamy, delicious Mackinac Island fudge. Visit ryba.com to complete your shopping today. Also seeing delays along 75 northbound between 12 Mile and 14 Mile. Slow ride as well, 94 westbound between 12 Mile and 696. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Shelving.com. With 60 years of experience, Shelving.com knows what products are key to a successful business. Today and Tuesday only, shop select business essentials like rivet shelving and storage bins and save 11% with code ESSENTIAL11. That's 11% off with code ESSENTIAL11. Shelving.com. We rack your world.
Record heat yesterday, 73 degrees. A record today? I think so. Record is 75, set in 1999. Forecast high is 73, but I think we've got a chance of getting to 75. Lots of sunshine, some clouds early. Tonight a mild 58. Tomorrow some record heat on the southwest breeze, 77. And then some cooler weather Wednesday. Clouds, sun, highs only in the low 50s. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
Tune into the Rich Paul Show Saturdays at 9 a.m., Mondays at 7 p.m. This week on the show, grading our financial competency and election limbo. So tune in 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 7 p.m. on Mondays on the Rich Paul Show here on WJR.
This year, Michigan businesses have had to adapt. And the Michigan Economic Development Corporation was right there alongside them, helping to connect businesses to new resources, meet new partners, and access the additional capital they needed right from the start. If your business needs support to reach its new potential, the MEDC is available to help in any way we can. Contact us today for customized business assistance at michiganbusiness.org/partnership.
What's the perfect gift for every guy this holiday season? Untucked shirts. They're the comfortable, easy-to-wear styles every guy loves. That's because Untucked shirts are designed to be worn untucked, so they help guys to look sharp and feel comfortable. Who wouldn't love to unwrap one of our iconic button-downs and best-selling fabrics like super soft flannel, wrinkle-free cotton, and performance with stretch? Use code SHIRT20 for 20% off your next purchase at any Untucked store or at untucked.com. Untucked. Shirts designed to be worn untucked.
Don't you love that feeling when you've just nailed your look? That's how it feels to use Stitch Fix, your personal styling service that delivers hand-picked clothes right to you. Stitch Fix is simple and convenient. Sign up in just a few minutes, and you can try out new styles right at home. And there's no subscription required, ever. So, isn't it time you started nailing your look? Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, personal styling for everybody.
Are you planning to make changes to your investments because of the election? About half the people polled before November 3rd said they would. But should you? At Edelman Financial Engines, we help make sure you have the investment strategy you need right now. And we want to make it even easier for you. Right now, you can get our advice for free. Simply call 888-PLAN-RIC and you'll get a free personal financial plan. Yes, free. But you have to call by 10 p.m. tonight. Via phone or video conference, you'll meet with a talented, experienced financial advisor who will review your savings and investments and tell you if you're doing everything right. Given everything that's going on, now is the time to get the recommendations you need and the portfolio strategy right for the times. All this is an $800 value, and it's yours free. Just call 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC, or visit EdelmanFinancialEngines.com.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
This next interview may be the most difficult of the day, and it may be the most informative. As you know, President Trump and the Republican Party are filing lawsuits in multiple swing states, including Michigan. Our next guest is a Supreme Court justice who could be making a ruling on the cases, and that's why we cannot ask him about any of these cases. But I called Supreme Court Justice Brian Zara and asked him if he had come on to explain how the process works. And I think that's something we all could use a little lesson on here. So, Your Honor, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to these record high temperatures.
I know. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. I just can't believe it keeps happening day after day. It's fantastic. Lawsuits don't usually start in the Supreme Court. They end up there sometimes. How does it usually work? Where do these typically start when it comes to election lawsuits?
Okay, so typically cases start in a trial court, and if it's a matter against the state of Michigan, it'll start in the Court of Claims, a special court, a trial court of 4 Court of Appeals judges who handle all cases against the state of Michigan. But their ruling is just like any other ruling, and from there, the proper appeal would be to the Michigan Court of Appeals.
And then, so the 4 justices in the Court of Claims, they would all look at the issues and arguments and make some sort of ruling. And then if the losing party wasn't happy, they could go to the Court of Appeals. What happens there? Who looks at it at the Court of Appeals?
Okay, so just to clarify, there are 4 Court of Appeals judges who serve on our Court of Claims, but they act individually as trial judges. So any one of the 4 could be assigned a case that is filed against the state of Michigan, and then they will make a ruling like any other trial judge would in the state. And once their ruling is made, then you typically have a right. Everybody who loses in the trial court in Michigan has a right to an appeal. And matters from the Court of Claims are then appealed to the full Court of Appeal, where we have, I think, currently 25 judges, and they sit in panels of 3. And typically, it would take 18 months or so to have your matter heard in the Court of Appeals. But you can file a motion for immediate consideration and have it bumped up if it's an urgent matter, and then it's presented to a three-judge panel of the Court of Appeals that's drawn by a blind draw system. You don't know which of the three from the 25 judges of the Court of Appeals will sit and hear that matter, and once they make a ruling, then it's the same ordinary process to get to the Michigan Supreme Court. And in our court, typically in any 1 year, there's over 2,000 applications that are filed, and we will only grant in roughly 100 applications in a year. So it has to be something of importance to the people of Michigan for us to take a case. We simply don't look at whether the lower court was right or wrong. We're trying to decide, what cases are important to the people of Michigan.
And so in an instance where time is of the essence, what things can happen, do happen to expedite it?
Okay. Again, anyone can file a motion for immediate consideration. And when one of those motions are filed, the court will look at it. The intake staff brings it to our attention, and we have a staff of commissioners who review matters and help us make a determination, what cases the court should take or what cases the court should take expedited action. But the mere filing of a motion for immediate consideration gets us to look at the case immediately, just to determine whether this is in fact an emergency and whether it deserves early consideration.
Okay, so a case makes it to the Michigan Supreme Court. There's 7 justices. Again, will they work individually on this? Will they work all 7, or will they break up into smaller groups? How will that work?
Mm-hmm. So once a matter is filed in our court, in other words, once a case is filed where they ask us to look at the case, it's worked up by the staff of the court, and all of the documents are submitted to each member of the court. So we'll get the application papers, we'll get any workup done by the commissioner's office, and we review them individually and then vote on it individually. And if any one member of the court wishes to discuss it further, we bring it to conference, and then we will discuss that case together in conference. And pre-pandemic, we would always meet and have these conferences live. But now we do Zoom conferences, and we do that typically weekly. But if it's necessary, we might have a conference set within a few days of filing if it's important to the court, and we'll have a conference to discuss what action, if any, should we take on these cases.
And then what kind of cases, or when would the U.S. Supreme Court get involved in a decision that a state Supreme Court made?
So state courts have the right to enforce state laws in their own courts, and any matter of pure state law is not reviewable by the United States Supreme Court. They can never say you interpreted your state wrong improperly. But what they can do is say your interpretation of state law is inconsistent with federal law, or it's inconsistent with the federal Constitution, and therefore they'll take the case to look at it not as a question of state law, but purely as a matter of federal law. Does this ruling by a state court impact the federal Constitution or other federal laws?
Does that case does a separate case have to be filed in federal court and work its way up through the system to get to the Supreme Court there, or can they simply observe what one state's Supreme Court is doing and saying and say, you know what, we want to look at the constitutionality of what's going on there and just take that case over?
Yeah, that's a very good question. From a state Supreme Court or from any final order of a state court, you can seek review in the United States Supreme Court by filing directly to them. But like the Michigan Supreme Court, thousands of cases are filed in the court, and very few are granted or other action might be taken on the basis of the application. The overwhelming majority of applications are denied.
So in Florida in 2000, it took 36 days for the legal challenges to work through the courts. And ultimately, the state Supreme Court weighed in Florida, and the U.S. Supreme Court weighed in Florida in that election. Obviously, everything's going to be very different this time around. But is that a timetable we can look at for resolution, or is that very, very speedy, or is it about right, or should we be thinking much longer than that?
Yeah, Kevin, I told you I can't tell you specifics about anything that might happen with regard to any particular case coming through our system, but I can observe that in Florida in 2000, the United States Supreme Court weighed in, I believe, because there are, again, questions of federal law. There's a date by which every state must identify their electors and meet to resolve the electoral college election. And if I remember correctly, I mean, it's been years since I looked at Bush v. Gore, but if I remember correctly, the reason the federal United States Supreme Court got involved was because this date that's required under federal law to be met with a meeting of the electors was approaching, and Florida hadn't resolved the case. So they weighed in and said, as a matter of federal law, what was required to be done. Okay,
out of about 2,000 cases requesting the Michigan Supreme Court, only about 100 make it in. Justice Zara, thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate you walking us through this morning.
My pleasure, Kevin. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Be safe. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Right now, let's check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. These may be uncertain times, but what is certain is that every family needs a reliable thermometer. Protect your family with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
Still seeing a slight slowed ride along 90 for westbound between 12 Mile and 696. Earlier accident in Macomb still causing delays, about a 12-minute backup along M53 southbound at 23 Mile Road. That accident has you backed up for at least 3 miles. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Sponsored by the Cremation Society of Michigan. For over 32 years, the Cremation Society of Michigan has been providing dignified cremation services without the cost of traditional funerals. For cremation information, contact the Cremation Society of Michigan at 1-800-241-3131 or visit cremationmichigan.com. Sunny once again today, a high of 71. Tonight, few passing clouds, mild overnight, your low 58. We get another warm one on Tuesday, some clouds, some sun. Could see a slight chance of a rain shower, a high of 76. We are in the 50s under sunny skies. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 2 minutes.
Consumers Energy's Clean Energy Plan eliminates coal, boosts renewable energy, and creates a bright future for Michigan. To get more details and give them your ideas to make the plan even stronger, join them during their next virtual open house.
That was like a civics lesson. So now I need to go back and re-listen to it and take notes.
I liked it, though.
I loved it.
As he taught me, the audience can learn along with us. Interesting. So, it looks like that there are ways that the Supreme Court can look at cases in these individual states if they see there's a constitutional problem or. And so I imagine when they say they're going to be filing lawsuits, they'll be filing them in these states, but I imagine they'll file federal lawsuits as well to get some of these issues moving through the courts. And they have to, like we said, they have to get the Court of Claims. It's got to go there. They have to spend some time and be thorough to look at the issue, right? And then make their decision. And then, moves up to the Court of Appeals, and they have to spend some time. And then the Supreme Court, if they decide to take up the issue, they look at it individually, but if they're not sure, they convene everybody to go through it. It's a lot of work to be done on these issues, unless there's just, no evidence and they just, dismiss them immediately. But if a case has merit and it works its way through, this could be very interesting day by day as we follow this. One day we might be talking about, a case that's in the Court of Claims, and then the next couple of days later we're like, well, wait a minute, how does the Court of Appeals feel about this? We didn't get into the politics of it either. The courts are not supposed to be political, but the Michigan Supreme Court has had a conservative lean for the past long time. But now after this election, it will actually have a lean to the left. And I don't know if that plays a role or not. And I don't know if the new justice being sworn in would take on the the issues. I guess it depends on when it came to them. You know, they'll be sworn in at some point. I don't know if the justices are sworn in immediately January 1 or if it's a little later, but it's really, really interesting and a good opportunity to learn more about how our courts work.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now. When are new Michigan Supreme
It's like everything we're learning about the electorals now. You know,
It's fascinating.
physically people who go to Washington and cast the decision, and that the legislature is in charge of them and advises them, and you know, and how when things are official and not official, and it's all stuff. I don't know if we did learn it when we were kids or we were supposed to learn it, but
Right, but now
good
we're really.
It's good to know it.
So, I think the Supreme Court justice swearing in is January 1st.
Okay.
If I recall correctly from when Gretchen was sworn in, I think they were sworn in that same day, weren't they?
Is it right away on January 1?
I don't know. I'm trying to. I'm looking. Yeah, I think I do think that your original analysis that there will be something somewhere that may proceed pretty far, but at the end of the day, whatever that is probably not going to change the outcome. However, I do think everything going on is going to cause significant reviews of what we did this year and hopefully make the process better. That's my analysis.
Yeah,
I don't think this is going to change the outcome, but who knows?
Legal reviews will identify problems that can be fixed, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That's excellent. And Rachel Sutherland talked about how, delaying conceding, can rock the boat and things, but we got through it in 2000. We were able to do that. I think they have to release some money for a transition, team, but they can release money and still see what the courts uncover. But I think, when Rudy Giuliani is talking about 800,000 votes in Pennsylvania, he's got to have some sort of systemic problem in mind, or he's hoping that one develops. But there's just so many votes out there that it's going to have to be something major, not one of these specific problems. But these specific problems, you're right. You put a light on it, it gets to court. They find merit with the issue, and they may very well be able to find some solutions to preventing it in the future.
Yeah, and you know what? This is the first time that we had that many people voting by mail.
Oh, for sure. And they're going to want to
They're gonna
continue
find
doing
trouble.
that.
You're going to find some issues.
Oh yeah, people were sent applications that didn't request them. Do you have to request one to be eligible? The argument is that no, we sent them only to registered voters. So they, when they register, they have the right to get mail and get these applications. But if for some reason, some court said no, only the people who asked for requested applications are going to be counted. Well, then you'd have a massive change in numbers. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, it'd have to be something like that. And maybe nothing happens this time, but next time around they say, all right, this is how mail-in votes work. This is what you have to do to qualify.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole, checking IDs and signatures, which I don't know where that stands, but I know there was a lot of concern about, if for instance, I have 5 people in my family. Could I have taken all 5 envelopes, filled them out how I wanted to, and sent them all in? Will they check the signatures? Who knows? And even if I did that, would there be enough people who did that to sway what these results currently are? But I think there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. Yeah. I got the impression we had Jocelyn on almost every day last week. I did get the impression they were checking those signatures.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But
I had somebody had told me that their son went to vote and they in person, and they said, wait a minute, our records say that you got a mail-in. And they said, oh, yeah, but I didn't mail it in. And they checked it, and so it's good to see that they were on it.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
After suffering through a tough Saturday watching Michigan State Spartans and the Michigan Wolverines lose, I was fired up for Sunday's Detroit Lions game, but as it turned out, that didn't pan out so well for me either. Joining us now is our own Steve Courtney and Dan Miller to talk about the Lions. Welcome, guys.
All right, Kev, good morning to you. Hello again, everyone. Yesterday in the land of 10,000 lakes, the first quarter pretty much told the story of how this game was going to go. The Purple People leaders take a 7-0 lead on their first possession, chunk yardage for sure. After a Matt Prater missed 46-yard field goal, the Vikings would strike again. Just like that, it's 13-0, and we were just getting underway. That's where we begin the conversation with the voice, Mr. Dan Miller. Danny, happy Monday morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys.
It was behind the eight ball pretty much all afternoon for the Honolulu Blue and Silver. We all knew Dalvin Cook was going to get the ball early. He was going to get it often, and he did, Dan, to the tune of 206 yards. Minnesota as a team, 275 yards rushing.
Yeah, and that was problematic, and I think you hit on one of the major things that got the game started as well was that sequence at the beginning of the game. If you go back and look at it, Minnesota took a 13-0 lead, but also the Lions on 3 of their first 4 possessions got down into the red zone, and in the end only had 10 points to show for it. And that was a problem. And we know in this league, if you settle for 3 instead of 7, you're going to have a problem down the line. It usually comes back to haunt you. And when you are moving the ball like that, and you're not taking advantage of those opportunities, and the other team is scoring, you're going to find yourself, as you said, behind the eight ball, playing from behind, and that's a difficult thing to do anywhere in the NFL. And then further, when you're not stopping the run, which is one of the basic tenets of football, every coach talks about it every single week before every single game. There's not much you can do. I think it ended up being 276 yards between the two running backs, something like that. That's off the charts in the National Football League. It's I don't know if a team's ever won a game giving up that kind of rushing yardage, but it's in this day and age, it just indicates that the other team is controlling the game, dictating pace, and you're going to be playing from behind.
Danny, I don't think there's anything as deflating for NFL offenses being unable to convert a 3rd and 1. And it was very important. Lions' first possession of the second quarter, they're looking at a 3rd and goal inside the 1, as a matter of fact. Adrian Peterson gets it. No, now you're looking at a 4th and goal from the 5. Matt Prater comes on. You have a chance to make it a 13-7 ball game. You settle for 3. But the fact that you can't get a yard, you know the adage, you can't get a yard, you don't deserve to win. This has been troubling the Lions throughout this season.
Well, and it's, small picture, you're exactly right. That was a very significant moment in that game. And as you mentioned, you not only didn't get it, but you lost yardage to the point where going forward on 4th down did not become an option. So there were a couple of things that happened on that play. And then big picture going in, Minnesota's defense hasn't been particularly good this year, but it's really strange when you look at the numbers. Where they have been good is in the red zone, where they're one of the top teams in the league, and then they're on 3rd down. Defensively, they've given up a lot this year, but they seem to tighten up the critical points, and the Lions found that out in that game yesterday. And this is not the same Vikings defense that we've seen in the past. Everson Griffin plays for the Lions. Daniil Hunter's out for the year. Barr is hurt. We've Xavier was playing last week when the Lions saw him, Xavier Rhodes. So it's some of the same problems that we have seen from the Vikings in the Lions' current losing streak to that team cropped up in this game. So some self-inflicted, some you certainly have to credit the Vikings for. But to your point, you can look back at moments in that game where if you had been able to convert or you had been able to find the end zone, all of a sudden it's a different game. And then you're putting some pressure back on the Vikings. But when you're not doing that, they're playing with a lot less pressure, and I think we know that's when Kirk Cousins can thrive. He's much better when he's not feeling that. When he does, that's when we can see him make some mistakes. But they never, A, put him in that position yesterday, and B, you look back in that game, they did not pressure him. There were very few times when he did throw that he had to step off his mark at all.
Perhaps, Danny, third quarter epitomizes the Lions season, the best of times, the worst of times. Vikings up 27-10. Matthew Stafford serves up the first pick, Eric Wilson. Then there's a punt block. There's a little bit of life, but no. Immediately after, Eric Kendricks gets the pick. There you have it. The third quarter ends 27-10, Vikings up, and Lions never really able to get into it.
Yeah, and I would even go back to the end of the first half when Minnesota had that long scoring drive to extend their lead. That just, that was deflating. Matt Patricia talks all the time about winning the end of the first half and taking that momentum in the locker room. And Minnesota just marched down the field. And that kind of knocked you back on your heels a little bit. And then, as you said, there were, again, moments in the third quarter where they had a chance to get things done. But an up and down game from Stafford, to be sure. 16 consecutive completions in the first half, and then 2 interceptions, which, as he said in the second half, he can't make those throws. And the one to Hawkinson, he didn't feel like the back was going to be able to turn around in time, and it was difficult. It was not where you wanted to be in that moment, and unfortunately, you don't leave yourself much room for error in situations like that when the other team has already jumped out to a big lead. Look, if it's 13-13 or 17-17 and you've taken advantage of your opportunities and you throw a pick, you know what? You could probably overcome it. But when you're already down 14 or 17 or 13 or whatever it is, those opportunities then become problematic in that you didn't take advantage of them, and it's very difficult to come back at that point because all the momentum swings back the other way.
Well, here's the deal. Midway through this season, Dan, Lions are a 3-5 football club. The conversation has been, hey, favorable second half schedule. Lions can make a move. All right, that's all fine and good. You've got the Washington football team, a 2-6 club coming into Ford Field on Sunday. But here's the bottom line. As a team, you have to perform. And we'll see what goes on from this point forward. But look, Lions are running out of time, believe it or not. They got to get it together here. And that being said, Dan, there's a few issues going on here.
Well, they have to do some of the things that, again, very, very basic in the game of football. Have to stop the run. In a couple of games this year, they've done a good job stopping the run, and they won a couple of those games. But believe me, teams are going to look at what happened yesterday with Dalvin Cook. Now, not everybody's got a Dalvin Cook, but they're going to make the Lions prove that they can stop the run. And then what has cropped up in the past couple of weeks is you can't turn the ball over, especially when you're a team that doesn't have a significant margin for error. It just, in this league, that's the first column people look at the end of a game is turnovers, and the Lions are not winning that battle right now, and it's very tough to overcome.
All right, Danny, as always, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully, Lions can figure some things out here moving forward. Again, that Washington football club coming in Sunday, 1 o'clock, Ford Field. We're with you at 10 here on Lions Radio. Danny, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Coming up after the break, we have Michigan State University football coach Mel Tucker. Right now, we're going to check weather and traffic with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by Dell.
We have a special announcement from Dell Technologies. Black Friday is officially here. You can save up to 50% on powerful computers with Intel Core processors that'll take your small business to the next level. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SP Black Friday.
New accident, Kevin, along 75 northbound after 696. Collision there is blocking the left lane. Also in Macomb, earlier accident in the clearing stages. M53 southbound at 23 Mile Road. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
Few clouds around this morning, but record heat really the story. Very mild to start and a warm finish. 73 is too shy of the record, but may get there with lots of sunshine around in the afternoon. Some clouds tonight, mild 58. Gusty breeze tomorrow, slight chance of a shower, more record heat possible, 77. Wednesday, clouds, sunshine, much cooler, highs only in the low 50s, which is actually where we should be this time of year. From a Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hey guys, this is Darren McCarty, 4-time Stanley Cup champion of your Detroit Red Wings. Now, let's agree. I've had an incredible, blessed life, but you know what? I've lived it publicly, so we know it's had its ups and downs. My life was full of pain, Until I came to Pain Free Life Centers in Troy. No injections, no needles, no surgery, no side effects. Just FDA approved high intensity, high dosage laser therapy at the cellular level. All you have to do is make a commitment. In fact, they're so confident that they can help you. Your consultation and first treatment are free. How can you beat that? And listen, if it worked on my back, it'll work for you. I started coming 3 days a week. I'm down to once a week, and it's pretty much maintenance. So make Pain Free Life Centers your first choice, not your last resort. Call 248-879-1100 or go to painfreelifecenters.com. Check out my story. Tell them DMAX sent you.
Are you planning to make changes to your investments because of the election? About half the people polled before November 3rd said they would. But should you? At Edelman Financial Engines, we help make sure you have the investment strategy you need right now. And we want to make it even easier for you. Right now, you can get our advice for free. Simply call 888-PLAN-RIC and you'll get a free personal financial plan. Yes, free. But you have to call by 10 p.m. tonight. Via phone or video conference, you'll meet with a talented, experienced financial advisor who will review your savings and investments and tell you if you're doing everything right. Given everything that's going on, now is the time to get the recommendations you need and the portfolio strategy right for the times. All this is an $800 value, and it's yours free. Just call 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC. Or visit EdelmanFinancialEngines.com.
The Mother Waddles mission has been helping the poorest of the poor for over 50 years. By donating your car, you can help Mother Waddles continue to help those in need. Mother Waddles will use your generous car donation to help a low-income family with transportation. Just think what a difference your car donation will mean to a needy family who has no car. Your car donation will truly change their life. So avoid the hassle of trying to sell your car and donate it to Mother Waddles. Plus, Mother Waddles takes any car, running or non-running. And remember, when you donate your car to Mother Waddles, you are helping Mother Waddles to feed a hungry person and provide shelter to those in need. So change a life today and call Mother Waddles at 313-WADDLES or simply donate your car online at motherwaddles.org. Mother Waddles, a name you can trust. Call 313-WADDLES. That's 313-WADDLES.
Dell Technologies just announced their Black Friday sale. They're releasing new doorbusters every weekday, plus up to 50% off cutting-edge tech for your business. There's no better time to upgrade your small business with the latest laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors, plus there's free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. Give Dell Technologies advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SB Black Friday. That's 877 Ask Dell.
Time's running out to win over $2 million from Publishers Clearinghouse. Enter at PCH.com, and your family could soon be celebrating the win of a lifetime. The $2,500,000 mega prize is guaranteed to be awarded this December. Go to PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want to win big. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 11/29. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Well, at times our Michigan State Spartans have looked incredible this year, and at other times we have looked like we have a lot of work still to do. Saturday we were down 35-0 at the half against Iowa and ended up losing 49-7 when it was all over. Joining us now is Michigan State Spartan head coach Mel Tucker and our own Steve Courtney. Good morning, gentlemen.
All right, Kev. Thank you very much. As you pointed out, the Spartans' trip to Iowa City, very unkind as we welcome the fine head coach himself, Mel Tucker. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Very motivated. Looking forward to having a great week of preparation. Thank you so much for having me on.
You know, as far as what transpired Saturday, Coach, far be it from me to oversimplify anything, but, you know, here we have our Spartans coming off an emotional win over the in-state rival. You go to Iowa, a team that suffered two very disappointing losses back-to-back. They were a preseason top 25 team. Kirk Ferentz has been doing this for 22 years, and quite frankly, Coach, it was the perfect storm. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I give Iowa a lot of credit. We knew going in that team, that Iowa team could have easily been a 2-0 team going into that game, and we knew that it was going to be a tough physical matchup. Obviously, like you said, Kurt Ferentz is one of the great coaches in the game today, and the longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. So certainly, that was not a surprise to me.
I know in your post-game comments, Coach, you were very disappointed with the physicality of our Spartans in this tilt. You know, the shining moment in Ann Arbor was the play in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Quite frankly, that wasn't there. As a matter of fact, you look at third down efficiency offensively, 7 of 20 third down conversions. That puts a little stress on the defense, and overall, the inability to control the football was costly.
Yes, it was, and you know, time of possession is critical for us. You know, obviously we want to possess the ball. We lost the battle of first downs substantially. We're not able to sustain drives. We lost a battle of field position. You know, from a special teams standpoint, we lost it in those phases. We had 6 drives on offense in the game where we basically killed ourselves. You know, whether it was a penalty on a 3rd and 1, you know, a drop ball on a 3rd and 5, you know, an interception, a 2nd and 1 where we had a missed assignment that caused a disaster. We had a 3rd and 12. We had had a guy wide open and missed him. You know, should have been a touchdown, but we gave up a sack on a loss, missed protection on another drive, and then we had a drop ball on a 3rd and 2. And so, you know, it's really death by inches. It was the same thing on defense. You know, misfit a run, missed tackles, you know, mental errors, and on things that, you know, on basically routine type of plays. And so, you know, we have, like you said, we have a lot of work to do. We have to be tougher. We have to be smarter. As I continue to say, this is the beginning. We trust the process. We watch the film. We're going to make the corrections today, and we're going to have a great week of preparation for Indiana. We have to we have to work harder, and we have to work smarter in order for us to be the type of football team that we need to be.
Well, and I guess that's the good news, Coach, when all is said and done, because another challenge lies ahead, and a pretty darn good Indiana team coming into beautiful Spartan Stadium. The Hoosiers knocking off Michigan. All of a sudden, they are a 3-0 club, and it'll be another nice challenge for the Spartans. Certainly, after the opener, you made the corrections, Coach, you and your fine staff, to get ready for the in-state rivalry. Do it again, looking for good things against that Hoosier team come Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a great week of preparation. We are going to make the corrections. Everything that we saw is correctable. Obviously, from a physicality standpoint, you know, we have to make some strides there. You know, it takes each of us to impact all of us, and you know, better effort is not optional. It is absolutely a requirement. And going forward, you know, that's what our program has to be about. And right now, the message for us, for our football team, is going to be consistency and performance, and that's how you become successful. You have to become more consistent in offense, defense, and special teams. Okay, and that's going to come through preparation, training, you know, leadership, you know, and then obviously the pain and pressure that is involved, you know, at this level to get better. I mean, it is painful, and there will be pressure applied, and then we'll respond to that. And so we need to have a better football team this Saturday than we had last Saturday.
Coach, as always, thank you for your time. Looking forward to previewing the upcoming Indiana tilt with you come Friday. Have a great day, Coach. Thank you.
You guys have a great day. Have a great week. Go green.
Go white, sir.
All right. Thank you, Steve Courtney, Coach Mel Tucker. We appreciate it. Frank Beckman is up next. We will be back tomorrow. Let's check traffic and weather with our friend Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. These may be uncertain times, but what is certain is that every family needs a reliable thermometer. Protect your family with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
Traffic First also sponsored by Michael Perna and the Perna Team. Realtors worried if this is the right time to sell your home. It's time to call Michael Perna. Michael Perna with Keller Williams Realty guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline that you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. Call Michael Perna, 844-737-6276, or visit thepernateam.com and start packing. Accident M53 southbound at 23 Mile Road is clear, as well as that collision along 75 northbound after 696 out of your way, seeing a 4-minute delay backed up from at least 9 Mile. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Sponsored by the Carpenters Labor Management Partnership Team. Make a career change today. Join the skilled trades. The Carpenters LMPT contractors are looking for professional, hardworking individuals that want to build a career with great pay. For retirement and family health care, text JOB to 855-424-2562. That's JOB to 855-424-2562. Another great day on tap. Lots of sunshine, a high of 71 tonight. Very mild overnight. Few passing clouds, your low 58. We hit the 70s, mid-70s once again on Tuesday. Some clouds, some sun. Could see a rain shower in the afternoon. Sunshine, 50 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 3 minutes.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Controlling COVID is even more difficult on college campuses. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Even for most adults, wrapping your head around all the threats of corona.
Did you find Chris? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, all is well. We are good to go. I will start working on tomorrow.
Yes.
See if I can find.
Keeps coming and coming, right?
Yes, it certainly does. So I want to get somebody on that Pfizer study. I'll see if I can get Dr. Sims. I was thinking maybe Laura Cox would be a good person.
Yeah,
to talk to today.
Yeah, I think it's what's interesting is that you just with each day it feels a little different and changes a little different. So you want to check in, and it's like so I don't think you can tire of talking about this because things are going to keep happening. We'll know tomorrow will be 100% different than today because stuff will be filed and people will have proof or they won't. We'll see what is presented in courts all across the country. So it'll be interesting. I think she would be great. And the Trump people are sending out email blasts like crazy for their legal defense fund, which is interesting. And it's just we're gonna just have to dig in and walk people through the process and see how
where we are. So when you see stuff today, just send it over, or I'll get working on a preliminary rundown.
Yeah, and I didn't see what Fox was working on yet. I didn't see.
We haven't seen it yet.
Come over, but that could be helpful anyway, because there's so much that's going to be,
You need some updates in the morning,
changing.
I think.
Yeah, because someone who's got an eye on Georgia or got an eye on Nevada or Pennsylvania. So good.
I'm going to see what I can do on that, and I'll probably throw a bunch of them in there just for quick updates.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right,
we'll chat in a little while.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks everyone for watching.
All right. Bye-bye.